What up, what up, what up, sports fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan here with my guys, the Horseman, Adam Costas, Zion Zenith. This is the Premium Takes Podcast. Let's
Let's
go.
go. Let's go. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Great intro as always. We're back in you guys' life on a wonderful Thursday afternoon. Know we've been gone for a while, but let's not spend too much time on this. A lot of things to cover, a lot of great things to talk about, such as the NFL. Marks the new era for the New York Giants. You know, we got our head coach that we all wanted in the way when he popped up, and John Harbaugh. We're gonna preview all of the head coaching hires. We're not gonna go spend too much time on it, gang, but we're gonna talk about them. Then we're gonna go into the big game this Sunday. That is Super Bowl 60. It should be an exciting matchup. Should be a defensive game. Maybe it's not a defensive game. Maybe we all think it's gonna be a defensive game, and it's really an offensive game. Who knows? But we have a fire second-year quarterback in Drake Maye and returning head coach. Mike Vrabel, his first year under the Patriots, taking a third-win team back to the Super Bowl. Since the Tom era, should I say, English has left the chat. That being said, also too, we're gonna talk about our team, the New York Giants. Go on to our hires with Holt, our special team hires, with Matt Nagy as our offensive coordinator. I have some strong thoughts about that. Adam does as well, and I know Mac does as well. We have our defensive coordinator coming over from Tennessee, and then we do have John Harbaugh, and then we're gonna get into a little bit of Hall of Fame. I know these boys was talking before the show, and they have a lot to say about that, so we're gonna get into that. So that's the rundown of the show. But before we begin, we just wanted to give a special shout out to the guys early in chat. What's up, Chad? Thank you so much for being here. What's up, Total? We appreciate you, my friend. We got Coach Talking Sports in the building. What's up, Coach Ed? Please go subscribe to this mofo. He's a real one I know, talks college ball, and one of the real ones, one of the Big Blue Crews. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Ed? And let's get it, chat. Yep, go Patriots and Mike McCartney's shit. Absolutely, we will get into that. But before we begin, I just want to check in on these boys. Just a little fast check-in. How's you guys been? How's you guys' time off of Premium Takes? And Happy New Year's to you both. So let's get it going. Adam, you can go first, and then pass it over to Mac.
Well, it's too late to say Happy New Year's. There's a cutoff with that saying. So
now it's just that is true, but I'm gonna still say it. Good to continue.
I'm just kidding. Happy New Year's as well. But I did have that conversation with someone. I'm like, I told the Happy New Year like a week ago. The first time I saw him, I'm like, is that still a thing? Can I say that? No, I mean, it's a little over. But Premium Takes us back. There's been a lot of hot button topics we've discussed in our group chat. Even though you guys think Premium Takes is gone, it really never is, because we're always in a group chat together. So that is our Premium Takes off air. It's almost a spitballing session, and we had one where we decided there was too much juicy gossip to not convey our opinions and then share a little bit with you while we had some time. So I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Mac. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm doing great, Adam, man, and Zion. Good to be back with you guys, man. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, 2026 has been off to a fast start. As a New York Giants fan, there's been a lot going on, and I'm excited to be back here talking sports with my guys, man. And let's do it, man.
Absolutely. Let's get it. Yeah. All right, guys. So a lot of things has happened. So let's just get into it. Coaching around the league.
Shout out to the 42 in the chat too. Appreciate y'all coming through.
Shout out to the 42 in the chat on God. Yeah. That being said, guys, we're back in your guys' Life's Premium Takes at its finest. Let's talk about coaching, guys. A lot of coaching changes. I'm not going to read it all because that'll take too much time. But I just want to look at all of it that changed. Now, coaching surprises, right? We didn't expect the Buffalo Bills to fire their guy. We didn't expect Mike Tomlin to step down at the Steelers. Obviously, we didn't expect John Harbaugh will be available after 14 winning seasons in Baltimore, being there for 18. One coach that really stood out to me was Clint Klubnik to the Las Vegas Raiders. He's going to be there at Mendoza. True. I know Tom Brady's really excited about that. That being said, I do also like Mike over to Arizona. LaFleur, both of his parents as coaches, his brother coaches in Green Bay. That's a fire hire as well. And then Todd Monken, that's the one I'm kind of mad about because I really wanted him as offensive coordinator. But, shout out to Todd Monken. What I did like with these coaches, guys, is I liked how all of them kind of expressed. Now, will all of them hit? Absolutely not. We've seen this last hire in 2022, and then we see it now in 2025 with this much coaches. I want to say this, though. Let's focus on other coaches rather than out coaching John Harbaugh for the time being, because we will have that subject coming up later in the show, and that'll be a more fire subject and a more long-term discussion about him and our coaching staff. But is there anybody on this list that you guys are happy about, that you guys think is going to be game changers to the franchise? Before I pass the mic over to Mac, I would like to say this, a fast rundown. I do like that hire of Tennessee's Robert Saleh as well. I'm going to get into some of these guys after the boys give their takes as well. Don't want to hog the mic, but to get him as a defensive mind, that just thought of who else better. And I was screaming, oh, they should hire Brian Dable. And what does the Tennessee Titans do? They hire Brian Dable. So absolutely love that one. But just a fast discussion on what you see on this list, what you like, Mac, what you don't kind of like. I know it's too early to tell. Most of them's not going to hit. Most of them's going to probably fail. It's the NFL nowadays. But I'm going to pass the mic over to you. You give your opinions and then pass it over to Adam, and then I'll take it back. Let's get it.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, you know what I love, obviously. You know, I love John Harbaugh, you know, where I love that whole thought of that, understanding that he's now the coach of New York Giants, but I've already expressed my thoughts on that, obviously. I'm curious what Kevin Stefanski is going to be able to do with Michael Penix Jr. down there, or if he's going to if he's going to toss him to the side, look for his own guy, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm curious about that whole situation. Michael Penix's first couple of years has been, you know, a little rough waters. So he's not, I wouldn't say he's necessarily stable and locked in, but I'm curious what Stefanski can maybe do with him potentially, or whoever else he brings in there down in Atlanta, because Atlanta's got a really good team, talented football team that I feel like has been underachieving. They have one of the absolute best young running backs in the NFL right now, and I think that is they should be a football team that should be far more competitive than what they have been. So maybe Stefanski can put him over the top, and we'll see what he does at the quarterback position, because I am kind of curious about that. And Ty Monken, man, I don't know, buddy. I think you're going to find out why Cleveland is just not a good job to just jump into, man. Sometimes it's better to just, you know, turn down that shitty ass head coaching opportunity and do your thing until something better opens up, man. Cleveland has been a place that is an absolute joke. We saw what they did last season, a season ago, with the draft and everything, and how they handled that, just how they handle everything in Cleveland, man. It's a reason that whole entire coaching search was a joke throughout the entire time. Guys were just turning down the job left and right. I understand you want to get in there, you want to be you know, a head coach and all, but sometimes, man, you got to hold out for that right job, and you're going to be a hot commodity next year too. You know what I mean? When maybe a much better job would open up for you. I just think that he's going to find out why Cleveland just ain't it, man. You know, it's just not. As far as I'm interested with Pittsburgh too. It's because McCarthy ain't the kind of hire for Pittsburgh normally at his age. You know what I mean? They usually go a lot younger and expect to keep guys in there for, as we know, multiple years. So I don't think Mike McCarthy ain't got no 20-year run in him in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Not at the age of like 62 or whatever he is right now. So I'm kind of curious. That was kind of interesting that Pittsburgh went that direction, something different. So we'll certainly be getting a new Pittsburgh coach a lot sooner than we're used to seeing over the years. And that's really all I got right now with the coaches, man. Good luck, Todd Monken. Wish you best of luck in Cleveland, bro. But it's just not a good look usually.
Well said. And before I give the mic to Adam, Hugs, thank you so much for being here, my friend. I promise you, I'll probably make you a mod if you can do me a favor. I don't like to make mods immediately. I know I'm back on YouTube, and usually the mods are people that I know. But that being said, you stick around Premium Ticks for a couple of weeks, and you'll be consistent with us. I definitely can make you a mod, my friend. Go ahead, and I appreciate you asking. Go right ahead, Adam.
You know, I think this is an interesting coaching year. You look at the carousel that we are watching; it really does carousel many different places. But I think they all went, ironically, to all the spots they needed to go to. Right, Arizona, Mike Flores. That's a good spot for a young coach to cut his teeth. Right, Brady getting promoted. In Buffalo, he's already had some success. McCarthy was interesting. He was a Pittsburgh. I see why they did that. Saleh, I think, a great spot because he's not going to have the New York, but he gets a guy who wanted Cam Ward with Brian Dable. So I think if he can work that magic out, they have a weak division there. Well, not really now. I mean, now they have 3 teams there that win games, but they're in a division where they can do some damage. And as for Stefanski and all that, I think he went to where he needed to go, Atlanta, and we'll see what he can do there and how his team fleshed out. But Todd Monken, I'm not as bitter as a lot of people seem to be with Todd Monken. Was I disappointed that he didn't come with John Harbaugh? Yes, but I can't fault a man for trying to get a head coach job. You don't get many in your lifetime. And while I do agree with Mac, you might want to take the job. But what if that guy doesn't want to live with any regrets, right? And one of the regrets would have been was what if I did take that job at Cleveland, right? What would have happened? And then he'll find out. He'll find out if he's head coaching material. And let's be honest, it should be your dream to be a head coach in the NFL. I know we laugh at the franchise for what it is, but to me, they're going to be signing Clint after Super Bowl. It's probably most likely going to happen. It's just there's a lot of whirlwind going on. But to stick on Todd Monken right now, I'm not as mad as I was prior. I do agree with some of the things you said, Mac, and like that is crazy. But I'm looking at it as Todd Monken, and I'm 59 years old. Right? When you say, oh, wait to get another job. Okay, let's say he waits with Jim Harbaugh. Now he's 65, and he has no head coaching experience. Though guys like that rarely get a job. The last guy that got a job like that is contemplating retirement now with Philadelphia, and that's Vic Fangio. Okay? Vic Fangio, they don't do this anymore. The old coaches, if you look at that screen, that graphic, 2 of them are about to be 60 or over. That's Monken and that's Harbaugh. Everybody else is in their early 30s to mid 40s, okay, on that coaching docket. And what does that mean? That means the old guard that we used to see for coaches, the days of Marv Levy's, Pete Carroll's, those guys is basically over. You're going to try the new hot coordinator, the new hot thing, and you're going to see a lot more of these coaches get 3 or 4 chances because of the longevity of the NFL, such as a guy like, 3 guys. I forgot McCarthy's on there. He's over 60 as well. But, you got like Stefanski. Let's say he does okay in Atlanta but gets fired for whatever reason. He'll be probably young enough to get another coaching job somewhere else. Look at Robert Saleh. He leaves the Jets, goes 1 year, makes that 49er defense great, or at least better than you've seen with a bunch of fucking bums out there playing, and he gets a head coaching job. And most people would say that it wasn't his fault in New York. It was mostly they didn't have a quarterback. So circumstances matter. Now, for Las Vegas, Clint Kubiak and those guys, they're young, and these are the type of coaches they're going to acquire, hungry guys to do it. If you say that Monken there, Mac, you just say the same thing for Clint Kubiak, who should have pulled the Ben Johnson and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to be with Las Vegas. I'm going to wait for a better run organization to come around." Well, guess what? Sometimes your opportunity only strikes once, and you got to strike with the iron hot. So I understand why Todd Monken did it. We'll find out if it works. I don't know. I don't think Cleveland ever sets their coaches up for success. But then again, I can't blame him for taking a job when there's only 32 of them in the NFL, and it's a job that he probably didn't think he was getting, and all of a sudden here he is. They're like, "Hey, we want to offer you the position." Yeah, I'm going to call up John and say, "Hey, John, man, I'm sorry, but I'm taking this opportunity." And I bet you John said the same shit. I bet you John was like, "Cleveland? Are you sure? Cleveland? Are you sure?" And he was like, "Yeah, John, I got to do this. This is what I wanted to do." So hold on one second.
Well said.
Well,
Yeah, the only coach I'm kind of wondering about on this list is Joe Brady. I know they did it for Josh Allen, but I just really felt like Buffalo was in a stupid mood. Like they did a stupid move by firing Sean. I think Sean McDermott is a well-proven winning head coach in the NFL. I get it. Sometimes you don't get over the hump, but it's just same things that happen to John. Sometimes you can't go out there and play for your players. You can't. You never. I don't know why I said sometimes. You can't go out there and play for your players. And I just kind of feel like for them to fire Sean McDermott was kind of ridiculous, being that he had a winning record over his contract as the head coach in Buffalo. And I wish Buffalo well, but it does look like they're never going to be the Jets. Of course, the Jets just do stupid things all the time. But I can say as long as they have Josh Allen, they're going to be all right. And he has connections with Joe Brady, so we'll see what happens.
Are they though? I mean, this is no slight on Josh Allen, but I'm not. Let's call it a spade a spade. Sean McDermott got fired because of Josh Allen's shortcomings in the postseason, particularly in that divisional round game. Was it the divisional round game with all the turnover, turning the ball over, all over the damn place? I mean, that was awful. It was an awful performance. And I'm sorry, Sean McDermott was punished for that, essentially. And I mean, they're not going to fire Josh Allen. Obviously, he is obviously the franchise. So they had to take it out, take their pound of flesh out on somebody. So they took their pound of flesh out on Sean McDermott's ass, and they kicked him out the door. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. People, you can't dance around it. Josh Allen's great. I'm not saying Josh Allen's not great, but let's face it. He hasn't been getting it done.
Seven playoff appearances. He
hasn't been getting it done.
Yeah, 7 postseasons. I mean, and he's 0-7 with no Super Bowl.
I'm not saying he's played poorly necessarily in these games, because he's had some, he's had some man. He's had some nice moments in the postseason, obviously. Yeah, but they're not translating they're not getting to the bowl. He hasn't been able to get them over the hump. Sean McDermott got fired because of Josh Allen turning the ball all over the place in that game against, I can't even remember who they were playing against now, but whoever they were playing against, he was turning the ball. It
reminds me about two. It reminds me about like my other sport I love in the NBA, right? When everybody was looking at Jason Tatum, like, Jason Tatum, you're such an elite player, but you just needed to get over the hump. And Jason Tatum finally got over the hump at Boston, right? Obviously, he's injured now for the past 2 seasons, and hopefully he comes back, and he will come back fire and more potent than ever. But that being said, is with Josh Allen, it's like you've been to the postseason 7 times. 7 times you've been to the postseason, and you're 0-7. You never mentioned the ship once. And I get it. People may be like, "Well, it's the Patriots dynasty, it's the Chiefs dynasty." But at the end of the day, you have a team around you. You have an elite coach, and I'm not going to spend the time knocking Josh Allen. But like Max said, let's call a spade a spade. You want to say something about that, Adam? I don't know if he's talking. He's good. Go right ahead.
See, I don't agree with that to a certain extent. I think this last game cost his coach the job. It's not even he didn't play. He played poorly. If anybody should have been fired after the game, it should have been Josh Allen. Okay, because of his performance. So I don't want to hear about the marriage not working and all this. You're grown men and you win football games. Isn't that the fucking point of this NFL? Like, I hate all these. We wore out his welcome. Well, what is the problem? You win too goddamn much? I don't understand. Okay, I don't know what the standard is. As for Josh Allen, he right in the now, we can say that he's going to be whatever. He chokes, he did whatever. Overall, when you look at his career and his numbers, you're going to say that guy's a Hall of Famer. All right. And you're going to have to put in, yes, Mahomes, because that is the same thing. This is what I wanted to bring up with the Hall of Fame. And I'll mention it real quick. I don't take things away from Reggie Miller for losing to Michael Jordan. I don't take things away from Barkley for meeting Jordan in the finals, right? Like, he's still a Hall of Fame player. So when we do this, yeah, did he not win the big game? No, but man, they make the playoffs every year. That's more than I could say for Dan Marino. And Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So when we sit here and we look at it right now, they haven't done well. But I can't blame Josh Allen for everything. Stop making excuses for this. Tell him don't do anything. So what? So he's supposed to. He threw the interception. The coach threw the interception. Then the coach had the bad game because they didn't have a bad game. They were undermanned in defense and still hung with that Denver team. I'm sorry, you may not like what we're saying, but you're making excuses for Josh Allen's poor play as the execution. It's the same thing with what the people did with the Ravens when they're mad about John Harbaugh and his marriage to the team. It's not his fault his kicker can't make a field goal. It's not his fault Derrick Henry fumbles the ball against fucking the New England Patriots. It's not McDermott's fault that Josh Allen throws 3 picks in a row.
Talking about the fumble. And thank you for being here, Dylan Hill. He's talking about the fumble at the end of the half, but not to cut off your
exactly.
Take,
James Cook fumbles the football. How the fuck is that on him? I'm sure they preach, hold on to the football, don't turn the ball over. So I'm sure the coach has done his fucking job. What I'm saying is that people want to get rid of guys. You better hope that Brady gets them over the hump. That's it. Because we sit here and say, well, this guy couldn't do it. I'm not trying to make excuses or feel sorry for him. I blame Josh Allen for this last game. All other games, I blame poor defense with Leslie Frazier, clearly against Tyreek Hill. That guy's still running right now, okay? Like, what are we doing? We can't just not look at the facts of what's happening throughout the game. Josh Allen's played phenomenal football in a lot of these playoff games. This playoffs and this season wasn't his best. And this game shouldn't have been blamed on Sean McDermott, if anything. Now, if they didn't like him, he got weird stuff, you're going to find out the back channels what happened. And that's fine. But I'm not going to sit here and just, crush a guy on the way out for 9 seasons when they went to the playoffs, 7 out of those 9 seasons. I'd take that. And maybe it's I'm looking at it as a Giants fan who has been losing for the last decade, and I see winning fucking franchises get rid of winning fucking coaches because, we want to change the tires and the drapes because they're fucking worn. Give me a fucking break. And then you sit there and you're the Cleveland Browns who win shit, who change coaches every fucking week, right? There's a reason why you have stability. It's your job as a coach to get your guys in the right position. It's a player's job to execute when they're on the fucking field. And when they don't, we don't give any blame to them. We throw the coaches under the bus. But I can't do that when the coach is putting you in a position to win and you fuck up your assignment.
Well said. Well said. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next subject, and that is going to be the big game this Sunday, February 8th. Between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. And before we talk about the big game, I just want to show you guys some graphics. I know all of you guys know this, but let's just refresh our memory. Let's look at the AFC first. And I found this graphic on a shout out to Fox. They're going to provide our graphics today. Super Bowl wins by division. So when you look at the AFC East, we got 9, mostly due to the Patriots, and you got the Jets back.
Can I answer this question real quick? Let me answer this question real quick.
Absolutely.
For Nathan Manning, Sean McDermott, when he got fired, the coaching search was well underway. I don't think he's going to take a position as a coordinator, defensive coordinator at this point. Actually, defensive coordinator. I don't think he's taking no defensive coordinator job right now because he's a fucking head coach. So next year, he'll take this year off probably, maybe be a consultant for somebody. And then next year, once the season's over again and teams looking for new coaches, most likely he's going to be a top candidate for one of those vacant jobs. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, I don't know if you're taking a stab at McDermott there when you say, why hasn't no team signed him? I mean, it's just the situation that he fell under. I mean, when he got fired,
too,
there wasn't much he could do.
Everybody's trying to build their staff. So by all we know, I know half of these coaches didn't even fill out their positions yet. So who knows if Sean McDermott ain't gonna end up maybe like Mac said, like a special a defensive coordinator / head coach, assistant head coach, a consultant type of role, because there's a lot of candidates on this list. Well, not candidates. There's a lot of coaches that got hired on the previous list that's still trying to fill out their staff. And when you think about it, that's 10 coaches. That's over, and that's not only obviously Sean McVay is not going to take a smaller position outside of assistant head coach / defense coordinator probably. But at the end of the day, even at that, there's still some teams that needs to hire their staff. And when I looked at it too this offseason, we're just talking about staffs in general. That's over 125 new positions. That's going to be musical chairs around the NFL, and new ones coming in from college and new ones earning the right to be promoted. So there's going to be a lot of change. And that's why I've been loving covering all this. Well, not covering. I haven't been covering. I apologize for that. But looking at all of these hires, I mean, you guys do get a chance. Take some time. Go watch some of these press conferences, because it does get happy knowing that that a lot of change is coming into the NFL, and I just love seeing the NFL is just always a moving cycle, always a moving beast, and that's why it's the best sport on planet Earth. That being said, though, Super Bowl by divisions, we got the AFC, we got the NFC with 8, the West with 10, and then we got the South with the lonely 2, and moving over to the NFC, I wanted to show you guys this graphic as well. I thought that was pretty cool. Is the best division in football. You already know what it is. Probably the only division that has, for teams with a Super Bowl, is going to be the NFC East with 14, the NFC North with 5, the NFC South with 3, and obviously the NFC West with 8. That being said, with us having 14, it excites me because, a lot of times it's a graphic that proves that a lot of times I'm dealing with some YNs that's almost as if like talkie, and they don't They don't understand the history of the NFL and how tough it is to play in the NFC East. So yes, when you have the Eagles on top and you have the Cowboys and we've been trash for 13 years, guess what, guys? That's about to change because we can compete in the most hardest division in football now, and we're going to talk about that when we get to that. But I was just surprised that we are so far above the rest of the competition when it comes to Super Bowls. Mac, I'm gonna let you open up if you want to say anything. What's up, Daniel? Thank you so much for being here, my friend. And
Talking about
Adam,
you talking about Super Bowls in general?
Well,
You talking about
were you surprised of this graphics, being that the NFC East is far and above everybody with 14, and how tough?
I mean, I'm not surprised by it. I already knew what it was.
You knew that,
I've been following the NFC East for my whole entire football years of watching football. I mean, I already know that historically, right now, is not currently the best division in football, but historically, it's not even close.
Not even close.
It's not even close.
You have AFC
not
too?
even close historically.
Yeah, AFC is right here. Adam.
I mean, as you see here, the NFC North has NFC East has 14 Super Bowls. The next closest is what was that? The AFC West with 10,
because
and
of
that's
the Patriots.
mostly because of the AFC West, what the Chiefs are doing mostly right now. That's mostly the reason why what they've been doing over the last several years. Because the Raiders, I mean, Denver's got what, 3? I think Denver's got 3 of those, and Vegas has got I think 3 as well. So the Chiefs got 4. Yeah, so yeah, and
they've been to 2 Super Bowl. Oh, the Indianapolis Colts, yes. They've won.
And then I mean, as you see, the AFC East right there with 9. We know who did most of the heavy lifting there. Obviously, I mean, you're talking about just 7 of them coming from one damn team.
And the Steelers got 6. The Steelers got 6 for the North.
Steelers have 6 titles, yes.
Yeah.
Steelers have 6 of those.
Baltimore,
yeah, absolutely. Because Cincinnati doesn't have any. Cleveland doesn't have any.
I mean, you it's interesting. You look at the AFC West, right? And you saw the NFC East go back. I mean, the NFC conference. The 49ers are really the real reason over there. They've got a lot
49ers got 6
titles.
5.
The 49ers have 4. They've been there.
49ers have 5. 49ers have 5.
Yeah.
And the Rams have 2, and the Seahawks have 1.
The Seahawks has 1.
Seahawks got 1.
Mm-hmm. And Arizona should be over by the South because those teams never win anyways. I mean, it's
Arizona should have had 1. They just couldn't hang on. They just couldn't hang on at the end.
You know what's funny? It's like this would have been insane because you look at it. There are not many teams left in the NFC that still need Super Bowl to get there and win. The South has nothing really. I mean, Atlanta's been to 1, been to 2, and maybe 3. I don't know if they went to a 3rd one, but I know they went to 2 in my lifetime.
No, I've only been to 2.
Got annihilated in the first, and shocked in the second. You got Tampa Bay with 3 Super Bowls that they've been to, I think, winning 2. No, they only won 2. Sorry,
they won 2.
They won in 2000.
Yeah, they won 2 because New Orleans won 1 too. New Orleans won, and New Orleans won that division.
Yeah, and then Carolina has been to a Super Bowl. Well, been to 2 Super Bowls and is 0-2 in there.
But shout out to Carolina, right, for being a young team, and even appearing in the game because they're not even 30 years old, if that. Or they're about 30 years old. You know what I'm saying?
30 years old. They came into the league when I started liking.
Came in the league about 91 or 92, I think.
Oh yeah, so they're not even 40 years old, should I say? Yeah.
No, they came in 95.
It was 95.
So 31 years old.
I thought that was
95 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I remember this because I started liking football that season, and they were part of the new, teams that they were bringing in. One from the NFC, one from the AFC, and the Jaguars. I had an affinity for these because they're big cats and everything like that. It's kind of cool names, Jaguars and Panthers. Everybody else had these weird names. As for Baltimore technically is Cleveland, but I call Baltimore their own franchise. I actually think it goes Baltimore. And they started in 96. So, I don't think of them as, I know it's like the Tennessee Titans to me. If you're going to change your name, to me, the history of that one team stops. It's in your history, but to me, the new team begins, right? So to me, Houston, they should get the name and they should have the Oilers' old logo because that was the old team. I understand the franchise was there, but you look at it like the Baltimore can never go you can say their history, but right now with Cleveland still being there, it's going to be a blip on the radar. They've moved everything to Cleveland, right? There's really no history past the Ravens. The Ravens are in the history note, basically like now a expansion team, even though the Browns came back as the quote unquote expansion franchise in 1999. But the history of the Browns, no one's going to, as soon as it's going to be a whitewash, we're just going to see the history of the Browns and no Ravens.
Well said. Well said. Another ain't like I just had to Google it to correct myself, but Arizona, right? Like, ain't there one of the tops, like one of the founding six, and like they moved all over the place. So it's like, damn, you had over 100 years to win a fucking Super Bowl. I know Super Bowls wasn't great 100 years ago, but to win a championship at least, you know what I'm saying?
But that doesn't always equate to victories, and they may have. It's like the Detroit. Detroit has championships just before the 60s, you know.
Yeah, because like the Giants have like 12 championships or something like that before this, like with the Super Bowl included. How many championships did the NFC East get when the league had less than 32 teams? Tainted championships.
I can't say tainted championships because that doesn't make sense to me. You can't blame somebody for winning a championship because there was less teams involved. I would actually say it's harder when the Giants won those championships and the 49ers won those championships because those teams were different. And they didn't have – if you want to say tainted championships, then you have to say everything from 1993 on is tainted because that's when free agency became a thing. And that's when teams became broken up and you can change. Prior to that, teams stayed. You had Montana on the same team for decades because they didn't really have a salary cap. They didn't do a lot of the different things that they did now. And then in 1993 is when they had these Plan A and Plan B for agents. It was a real wonky system, but it really did change the entire trajectory of the sport. Basketball, have you ever seen that movie by the South Park guys? They make a reference in it, and they talk about basketball and franchising, and they're like, that's what's going to ruin the sport. And why do you think they have all these franchise and free agency frenzy now? Without that happening, you don't have that. So I can't say championships are tainted because of 32 teams. If you want to make that argument about being tainted, then you have to start at 1993 when the free agency crop began, because then you don't need to worry about drafting players. You can just sign super teams, and sometimes they work out quickly and sometimes they don't, but you could quickly just assemble a squad and go, whereas in the 80s and 90s, and even the 70s, why teams were bad for decades because they were bad drafting. They were run by terrible ownership, and they didn't have any way to kind of acquire talent quickly. They had to use it through drafts and only trades, right? Now, come 1993, Reggie White was the biggest domino that fell kind of in that era, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mac, and that kind of started what we have now as the modern day free agency, and that to me is what changed the game. If you want to talk about tainted championships, to answer that gentleman's question, that's when I would, if you want to put that on a team, that's when they would begin. Because without the mid 90s, I never thought I would see Joe Montana leave, but because we have free agency.
I'm sorry, Adam, but I mean it's not tainted because it doesn't matter that how many teams. I mean, winning a championship is winning a championship. It doesn't even, honestly, to be quite frank, it doesn't really make sense to me when you say something like that, because like it's like saying, okay, well, Jim Brown, when he played in the years when he played, that they only played like 10 games. You know what I mean? Or whatever, however many games they played in the season when Jim Brown was playing, and he had to do all the things he was doing and less games than what these guys are doing it now. That doesn't mean you just say, or take away what these guys are doing now, because when Jim Brown only had 12 games to do it or whatever it was, however many games he was playing, it's just a different era. I mean, it just is what it is.
If anything,
that's just the league grew. The league is going to grow. I mean, you can't expect to sit on everything. I mean,
but think about what you said. The records now should be tainted because they're adding 17 games. Jim Brown did that rushing in 12, right? Barry Sanders did that in 16 games or whatever, right? So now you're putting 17 games. Myles Garrett took 17 games to break Michael Strahan's record that he did in 16. Like, so if you're going to say things are tainted with 32 teams, you need to open it up and say the NFL is adding more chances to break records, get 2,000 yards. They're going to have an 18th game soon. They're going to be like, there's going to be damn near a 6,000-yard passer happening soon. Okay? That's coming, people. And we're going to sit there and we're going to say, wow, look at these bums from the 1960s who only threw 2,000 yards.
Well, that's what I wanted to point out too, right? Like, and we thank you for being here, Nathan, and you'll be on a part of the show because we're commenting on your comment is are we not gonna count sacks when so it's not a sack because we didn't count sacks in the early days when they clearly sacked the quarterback? I looked at it like that, right? Because times change and things change, and like Adam just brought up or Mac just brought up, eventually we're about to get 18 games. And yes, as a Giants fan, I'm happy for Myles Garrett that he did
sacks Lawrence Taylor's rookie season. They didn't even count it. It wasn't even a statistic. His rookie season.
Point given. I absolutely love it, guys. All right, let's move on to the big game. But before we do, guys, I do want to point out something. This is not a show about politics. I don't think politics has nothing to do with sports, but I just want to give you guys an alternative. If you guys don't want to see that halftime show that's just probably going to be really political and really just not what I'm into, you know what I'm saying? You can go to the Turning Points YouTube channel. They're going to have the All-American halftime show. If you guys don't want to watch a political play at the Super Bowl halftime, where I don't think sports has nothing, politics should not do anything to sports. I don't know why obviously it's too late to rebook, but that being said, you guys can go watch Kid Rock and a few other country artists do their thing on the Turning Points YouTube channel. So just to give you guys another alternative. That being said, let's talk about the big game. We got the Seahawks versus the Patriots. It's going to be a fire game. I'm going to give the mic to Adam. I'm going to let Adam go first on this one. Go right ahead, Adam.
This is an interesting game to me because for the last 2 weeks I've been sitting on the Seahawks winning just because I think overall they're a better team overall, and defensively I think they have a stronger defense. But then I was talking with an Eagle fan and he was like, I can't count out the Patriots. And I'm like, huh. And I thought about it. I'm like, the only thing that can really derail Seattle is if the quarterback that we talk about all the time turns into a pumpkin, and that's Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold is really the main focus here, if the Patriots can figure him out and get to him and get him rattled, they might have a chance. I mean, Drake Maye has proven that he doesn't need to do much. I think he's playing better football than than Sam Darnold. But I just think the Seahawks defense is fantastic across the board. And I think the skill position players lack a little bit over against in New England. And I don't think they have the same kind of swagger that they do with when they had Bill Belichick. I'm not saying they can't win, but it's a hard game to pick. I'm still going to stick with Seattle, but I can see them making a case for New England. But it really comes down to Sam Darnold because he's going to do, and I think his storyline is pretty big. And I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL rigs the game anyways in Seattle's favor because they're trying to sell the team. And, I wouldn't be surprised if more calls go a little bit more Seattle's way because they want to up the value with getting another Super Bowl under their belt since they're going to be, quote unquote, selling the team after this. So look out for that. But the bow I want to put on this is Sam Darnold is a reclamation story that, if he wins, you're going to write like a book about this guy. A guy who was much maligned in the NFL, who really took a beating in New York, had to go to 3 different stops, went to what now you have to call quarterback U in both San Francisco and Minnesota. Those 2 guys know how to fix quarterbacks. He went to Kyle Shanahan from leaving Carolina, got his mechanics fixed, kind of looked a little shaky, but you're like, all right, he can kind of play, he can at least be a backup. Went to Kevin O'Connell, and at that point, became a difference maker. And I think this last game he played with the Rams, he had a chance to wilt, and he didn't. But this game is bigger than that. And when it comes down to it, will Sam Darnold rise to the occasion? That's my only question mark about Seattle. Other than that, if Seattle had, if Seattle has Drake Maye, I'm not even questioning them, possibly losing. I just think that Sam Darnold has to play flawlessly, while as Drake Maye, I believe Drake Maye can get away with a little bit more just because of how he is as a quarterback. I'm not saying turn the ball over, but I'm saying he doesn't have to have for them to be successful. While I do believe Sam Darnold's going to need to establish that he can pass against New England because they're going to try to stop that run, make them one-dimensional, and really say, hey, Sam, let me see if you can win. When on the other hand, you can see the Patriots, they know how to win in many different ways. So they don't necessarily need to lean on Drake Maye the same way that Seattle, I believe, would have to lean on Sam.
Well said. We're gonna get Max takes, and then I'll pull up a comment. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, yeah, I think this is definitely Seattle's game to win, man. I just slightly disagree with you a bit. I mean, overall throughout the season, Drake Maye played, I think, better overall than Sam Darnold throughout the season. In this postseason, in the postseason though, these last couple postseason games, I mean, I know Drake Maye played one game in some really pretty shitty conditions, but at the end of the day, Sam Darnold's been far more efficient in the postseason than Drake Maye has. Sam Darnold has JSN, who is an absolute animal. Animal. He's a killer. He is a killer. And then Kenneth Walker III is not getting nearly enough love in the Seattle offense either, man. That guy's a difference maker in the backfield. And I think what Seattle can do defensively might be a little bit much for the young Drake Maye and the Patriots. I'm not this that they've had a phenomenal year, but let's not forget they played a last place schedule. People, always throw that out there. Throw it out there. They played a last place schedule. Had a phenomenal year, but I just think this Seattle defense is built different, man. What they do, and I think they're going to come out there, going to have a game plan. They're going to come out and try to confuse the young quarterback on this stage, and I just think it might be a little too much for the Patriots, man, in this game. And I think Seattle is definitely their game. I think it's their game to lose. Honestly, I just don't really like the matchup, and I think with the way, like I said, with the way I watched Sam Darnold play in this postseason, I mean, like you said, he had an opportunity to absolutely fold in that championship game against the Rams. He did, and the old Sam Darnold would have absolutely folded, but it ain't the old Sam Darnold no more. And like I said, JSN, man, is a killer. To me, JSN and Puka should be the top candidates for MVP, if you ask me, honestly. But this is a fucking quarterback award. We know what award one of them going to have to settle for, obviously. And is the offensive player of the year. I mean, it seems like whenever Sam Darnold has any doubt, he knows he can rely on, what's he, number 11, I believe he is. JSN's like he can just get the ball out there to him. And good things are going to happen, and that's pretty much what he's been living and dying with all season. And then even in the event that the Patriots have a way to slow down JSN, then you still got guys like a guy like Cooper Kupp out there, who's a savvy vet, been in the big game before. He's been on this stage, so his moment's not too big for him. He may not be the same guy he was a couple of years ago, but he's still a damn good football player, man. And I just think, like I said, I think Seattle might just be a little too much for him, and it's not taking anything away from the great season the Patriots have had. And Drake Maye is definitely a shining star, and he is going to be something to be seen for years to come, man. But I just think right now in this moment, I just think this is Seattle might be too much. And like I said, Kenneth Walker. People are sleeping on him way too much. Nobody's giving him the love that he deserves, man. Kenneth Walker is a legit running back in the league, and he's an X factor in that Seattle offense.
I'm going to counter 2 points that you made real quick.
Go ahead, Adam.
To play on the Patriots side. You talked about experience. Mike Vrabel has it. He's been a coach in the Super Bowl. He's been a player in the Super Bowl. He understands big games. It's not. You saw what he's done with his team and how to get them there. The other point I want to make is I'm tired of hearing about the teams they played, because they can only do what is on their schedule. Now, if they sucked this year, we would have looked at the same schedule and said, look at the schedule they played. They beat them. They lost to idiots. Like, we use that to move the chains and move goalposts and make it seem like, oh, well, they beat their teams what they needed to beat, right? And then when the money came and the money came down to it, they ended up beating teams in the playoffs too, who were the best teams they played on their schedule. So they can play everybody now. And I think they've matured and learned. And to me, I just don't want to use that narrative. I mean, I know this guy thinks that we're disrespecting the Patriots, and I don't think we are.
I'm not. I'm not disrespecting them at all. I respect them as a good team, a good young team, right. But I just don't think they match up well with the Seahawks.
Right, and I agree. I just think in this game, to me, from the eye test from watching both teams throughout the playoffs, I just think for me, the X factor for Seattle is I think their defense is slightly better than what the New England has put forth. Now, with that being said, I just mentioned that New England, if they can figure out and stop Sam Darnold, it's going to be a tough game because Seattle, I feel like, is going to need to probably score defensively or damn near pitch a shutout if their quarterback is bad. I don't think that New England has to do that. I think New England can play a sound game, get a turnover, keep them at bay to field goals. I think they have a chance to still win the game, right? Whereas Seattle, I think, needs to be absolutely dominant because if their offense did have some struggles against the Rams in the second half with adjustments. This defense they're facing is pretty good, right? Christian Gonzalez, their other corner, that's pretty good. That's a rookie that's played above the X's and O's. Their defense overall is one of the best in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see. I do agree with you that Jackson Smith-Njigba is better than Stephon Diggs. I don't think he's the same caliber of player at this moment. And I do believe that Kenneth Walker is an underrated player. I like Kenneth Walker a lot, but the NFL seems to not.
But just one,
I do kind of look at
my
it.
only thing, other thing is
just to get my take in real fast, guys, and then we can continue this conversation. I'm hearing all of you guys are saying, and I'm agreeing with most of what you guys are saying, but I'm kind of siding with this. Like when you look at the Patriots, I do factor in strength of schedule, and because I honestly think that it shouldn't matter when it comes down to the playoffs, like Adam said, because they made it to the bowl for a reason, right? So they're already in the bowl. So when we look at strength of schedule, that doesn't tie in too much, but it matters a little bit. I think the Patriots had an amazing season. We all on this panel. I know Mac used it for his prediction, but we all on this panel kind of knew that Mike Vrabel was going to come in and he was going to change that franchise around. Now, none of us predicted that they was going to make the Super Bowl this fast, but we all kind of predicted they were going to get around 9 to 12 wins. We all kind of said it, and I know Mac put it in stamp on the previous show that we had on Premium Takes. That being said, both teams play physical. Both teams have quarterbacks that's playing good. Both teams have receivers. But when I look at it, they're both physical teams, and that's why they're here. Like Texans was one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and the Patriots out defense them. That being said, though, I do believe that Seattle Seahawks has the best defense. They haven't allowed a single rusher over 100 yards in the entirety of the season. And that for me is something special because Adam, you just got done talking about where Seahawks kind of haven't played a perfect game. I think it's opposite. I think the Patriots have to play a perfect game, and I think they have to really lean on Drake Maye. And the reason why I'm picking the Seahawks because I just think that experience is going to count in this game. Not that Sam Darnold. Like not that Drake Maye's in his rookie season, and not like Seattle Seahawks has a bunch of veterans on their team. But when you look at the dark side, what they call so and so their Legion of Boom, when you look at the dark side, man, that defense is tough. They're top 5 in every single category in the NFL. They really shut down the best offense. Not really shut down, but they was right toe and toe with the best offense as the NFL has seen in the season in the Los Angeles Rams. When they talk about strength of schedule, that's why I bring it up, is because they had a way tougher schedule than the New England Patriots. Even in the playoffs, they had a tougher schedule than the New England Patriots, in my personal opinion. And I just kind of believe that if the Seahawks can do what they did all season and stop the Patriots from winning the football, and you really look at the core of receivers that the Patriots have, I just think the Seattle Seahawks is going to overwhelm them. I know the Patriots is going to play physical. I'm not trying to discount the Patriots, but I just think if they go back if they just go behind by 10 points, it's going to be really horrid because Seahawks is going to have all the momentum, and we might see something like a 20-9 type of game with this one, a low scoring defensive game.
Here's why
look, here's the thing. Let me say something real quick about the Patriots too, like in this game, because like I said, the Patriots had a tremendous season. My man, if you're a Patriots fan, I'm not knocking your bolts. I'm just saying that the Patriots. Let's be real and let's be honest about this too. Do the Patriots even go into Denver and win the AFC Championship game if Bo Nix was not injured? Do they win that football game if
I'm
Bo
gonna be
Nix
honest. I'm
was
gonna
playing?
say it's hard to say that because it happened. But if you wanna yes
It's
and
not
no,
hard
I'm
to
gonna
say
say
that
no. I'm
because
gonna
the
say no.
quarterback play of Denver, the
I,
quarterback play of
I'm gonna say
Denver
no.
in that
I'm gonna
game
say
was the
no.
difference in that game.
It'll be
It was
Denver versus
absolutely the
Seahawks.
difference.
Denver versus Seahawks. Yeah,
It
I
was
would agree on that.
absolutely the
Look,
difference in that game.
but
I,
who? Okay, so with that being said, right, and that's where I'm taking my perfection has to come from Seattle because the Rams came in and put up points against Seattle's defense, right? They did things that Denver, regardless of quarterback, couldn't do and weather, and
But the
that
Rams'
defense.
offense you can't even compare to the Patriots or Denver's offense. Look at that
Hold on.
offense. If you get what I'm saying.
I'm getting to my
I'm
point.
sorry. I'll let you
I'm
continue the
landing the
point.
plane.
My bad.
I just feel that for me, the pressure on Seattle is a lot more offensively, and they have to play a perfect game. Whereas I don't feel that New England needs to do that because I feel like they can get away with dinking and dunking their way downfield and playing ball control and conservative. Where I don't know if Seattle can win like that because I don't. I've seen Sam Darnold have games where you're kind of like, oh, and you're kind of like, all right, man, can he get through it? And he did have a couple picks in this game as well. And I'm just saying, if he gets rattled, and I just don't trust him. So for me, my mindset is, yeah, you're right. Patriots probably have to play a perfect game to win. But in my brain, how I'm thinking is, to me, the one X factor that I still need, and this just happened talking to an Eagle fan, is the only thing that I can think stops Seattle is basically Sam Darnold. That's it. I think Drake Maye, they'll find ways to win. They've done things with that defense on the Patriots to corral teams. I don't think the offense is that crazy, and if they can figure out how to curtail Jackson Smith-Njigba, I think they'll be able to handle Cooper Kupp and the rest of the skill position players. Now, offensively, I just think Josh McDaniels has a playbook where he will figure out how to make the game easy for Drake and not put him in the harm's way that he needs to on this vaunted pass rush, where I don't see Sam Darnold having that same leash. I think if they get behind, you playing into the Patriots' favor right now. If the Patriots can get up and win, I rather take my chances rushing a passer against Sam Darnold than having them be up and giving the ball to Kenneth Walker, who I think is going to gash them if they're not careful. So that's why I guess that's where my mindset is. I don't disagree where the Patriots are the ones that have to play perfect. I'm saying for my scenario in my head, how I see the game playing out, and it could do this way. The X factor for Seattle will be if Sam Darnold has a brain fart and if this kid can overcome. And I can't. The only reason I push back on you guys with the schedule thing is the Giants played a schedule, right? They did all this stuff. They had a bad defense. When it was money time, they did what they had to do. And I'm not going back and revisiting history because guess what? If the Patriots end up beating Seattle, I'm not going to put an asterisk by their name and like, well, look at them. They went 14-3 and didn't know. They beat who they need to beat to get to this point. And we can put whatever excuse there is out there. You play who's in front of you. And you don't – I know that when I was playing sports, I didn't care if the starting quarterback and the other team was out. I'm getting my championship ring here, right? And I don't care how I got there. I'm in the dance. And so, I just get tired of that. I'm just saying I'm not mad at you, Mac. I'm not for saying it. I'm mad at overall statements because a lot of people say that and they're like, well, they're 14-3. So I'm actually impressed that they were 14-3 with their team and not like 10-7 and 9-8. We're like, oh man, look at this 9-8 team. Couldn't beat a bunch of anybody's. They ran through everybody, and that's why their record is what it is. And then when they played the best of the best, they ended up in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. If you get to the bowl, you have to somewhat you have to be respected, not even somewhat. A player that I want to point out for DFS purposes is a lot of people's not talking about him right now for a good DraftKings play. If you guys are playing the captain lineup this weekend, is speedster Wahid Shaheed. He's gonna be a big factor in this game. When the Patriots it's Mike Vrabel, they're gonna scheme something up to try. They're trying to Jackson's probably going to try to be shadowed. They're going to try to do everything to not get Jason the football. Don't forget about Cooper Kupp. Like Max said, don't forget about Shaheed because I can easily see, a nice bomb down the field where he finishes with like a nice bomb for a touchdown where the Patriots didn't see it coming. That's their deep threat guy, and I could expect them seeing him on special teams as well. So don't forget about that speedster that I believe he did score a touchdown in the playoffs. I believe it was against, I forgot who it was against, but he did do that. So from a
He
kickoff
scored a
return.
touchdown
So
in the Rams game, I think.
in the Rams game,
If
there
I
you go.
remember,
He
he scored
a
a
kick return in the
long
Rams game.
bomb.
Gone.
I mean,
So should be a fun watch. I know this is a big game. Let's cover it a bit longer. I know you guys probably have a little bit things to say before we move on to the Giants. Go right ahead, whoever wants to take the mic. Mac, I think you had something to say. If not,
real quick, my other X factor for the New England Patriots is their New England Patriots special teams. The special teams has made a place for them all year. If they can somehow, whether it's with the punting game, flip the script, they have a decent punter. If they can do a lot of the things that we talk about with old school football, their special teams can be a factor, and they have been all season with a couple returns for touchdowns, with a couple kicks down inside the zone. And Seattle has a good special team with Shaheed. But again, New England, you can't count New England out. They have a lot of veteran coaches. Josh McDaniels has been on many Super Bowl staffs. He has 2 weeks to adjust to this team, whereas Mike McDaniels and Clint Kubiak, this is their first time in the Super Bowl. We'll see how they come out and play. But special teams is going to be, I think, a big factor in this game as well, especially with two pretty good defenses. I think, top 10 defenses, pretty elite. I saw something where Seattle gives up 18 points a game and like New England gives up like 19 points a game. So it's really going to be a solid back and forth contest.
Well said. So let's just go around the room. Adam, you go first. Score predictions.
I'm going to say 31-28 Seattle.
All right, Mac.
Now, I think I agree with Adam with the defenses here, and I think we're going to get like about I'm going to say 24-21 kind of game.
I love that. I'm going to take that 24. Oh, who do you got? Who do you got winning? Seattle?
Oh, Seattle.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to agree on that 21st Seattle win. I'm going to say 17 for the Patriots. So I'm going to go 21-17. Seattle gets it done. It's a long, hard defensive game, and I hopefully it comes down to the wire. Not like last year's Super Bowl where we already know who won by halftime. Hopefully this year's game is a exciting game. And let's just go around the room again. Adam, what is your food of choice for this Super Bowl?
Well, we're having a spread, wings, some pizza, and I think there's going to be some nice spicy dip there coming. A couple families are coming over to the house. We're going to watch the game, enjoy, play some board games because we're old at the beginning to kind of, do our own Super Bowl kickoff, and then just enjoy good food, good company, good friends. The kids have a playroom, so they're going to hopefully stick to that over there. I wish there was not snow on the ground where I could set them up outside for – at least to do something, but hey. My favorite wing flavor, there's two of them. I forget what I think there was a lot of people like hot honey right now. I think that's a pretty decent flavor. I like garlic parm. I'm a huge garlic parm guy. And so, there was Old Bay. I do like Old Bay, and then lemon pepper salad as well. Dry rub's always good. I always like a good dry rub.
I like it spicy, baby. Give me some good mango habaneros, baby. Give me some of that mango habanero flavor.
He wants to know your favorite dip.
I don't dip my shit. I eat it I eat them just the way they are, baby. I don't do the dipping.
I'm the same. I'm saying unless it's plain, I'll dip it, but I'm the same way as the boys. And I'll get lemon pepper, buffalo. Obviously got to go original buffalo, and then of course honey habanero will be my thing as well. And yeah, the hot honey, that is a good flavor going around nowadays. Mac, what is your food of choice for the Super Bowl?
It's going to be whatever my homie is serving at his party. Nice. You know what I mean? Whatever it's going to be, I'm not going to be picky. Ain't no party like an Aunt Albarrain party. That's my shout out to my boy Ant, man. I'm going to his Super Bowl party on Sunday, man. Whatever he got, I'm with it. You know what I mean? Don't even matter.
I love that. And
it's gonna be good.
I love it. So I'm apparently I'm gonna be
in a long time. I'm having
hell yeah. I'm gonna be stuck at work for the first half of the game, but I'm still gonna be watching it on my phone. And then it shouldn't be busy because everybody should celebrate this game. It should be a national holiday. But I'm gonna catch the second half of the game. So what I'll probably do is
It
I'll probably
is.
do the same. I'm probably gonna order some chicken, maybe get some pizza, and just have a good, maybe some nachos. Just have a good generic Super Bowl.
This is
Super
a
Bowl. I
good
don't know
junk
where I'm
food
gonna
game.
get. Yeah, exactly. I don't know where I'm gonna get my rings from. Yet, but I might go a little bit spoiled because it is a big day. Awesome. All right, guys,
You know,
let's move
it's
on.
a
And
big junk food day. You have to have,
yeah,
what we need to know
probably.
is if you're drinking a beer, what is your beer that you're pulling out? I know my friend is he's bringing over. I think he's bringing over Modelo's
Oh,
and Stella's. Who knows?
love
But
that.
is there a drink of choice for anyone that you're going to make? Is there something you're looking forward to that someone has at their house?
Yeah. So
That you like?
last
I
year,
mean,
this is my first Super Bowl I worked in like 10 years, so I'm grateful, and I didn't want to complain about that. But last year I was on my Hennessy and Coke. This year I'll probably go light. I'll probably go beer. I'll probably go like you said, Adam, some Modelo's, or I might have Blue Moons and some oranges. I do love my my white pale ales. What about you, Mac?
I don't have a go-to specific because I go to the liquor store and I look into the cooler and then something moves me. You know what I mean? It's
Whatever you
usually
feel
some
like.
kind
I
of
like that.
thorough ass IPA because I'm an IPA guy. I
Love
love those
IPAs too.
hops. Give it to me,
Nice.
baby. The stronger, you know what I mean, the better. So I ain't got to fill up on beer because a couple of them
Yeah.
will get me where I need to be. And, I'm good with that. And it depends. I don't know what it's going to be. It depends. Like, I go in the store, I always come out with something different, man. I don't, you know what I mean? So
I
that's
love
just what
that,
it
and
is.
I've been diverse buying beer lately as well. And you said it right. You get a good high percentage. You don't have to be there with a blog. You feeling bloated off of these 5%. I love your style, Mac, and I do that too sometimes. Let's get it. IPA hardcore Mac says no, man. I love IPAs as well. Let's get it. That being said,
Absolutely.
guys, let's move on. Oh wait, hold on. We can't move on. Super Bowl MVP. Go right ahead, Mac.
Sam Darnold.
I love that.
Well,
Adam.
since you picked him, I'm going to be different. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker here. He's
Ooh.
going to be the man.
Can the defense win the MVP? Can like the whole defense win the MVP? Is that possible?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
No,
the
but
defense.
you
It's not
can.
possible. Okay.
Not the entire
Yeah,
defense. They're not going to give the entire defense. They'll give it to
that's true.
somebody.
One person on the defense,
Von
maybe.
Miller, I think, the last Super Bowl MVP defensive player. Actually, might have been Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Or did they get that distinct? It was either Von Miller or Aaron Donald.
No,
I think the last
I don't know. I don't know who won MVP that year.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
No,
I'm gonna play the
when the
safe
Rams
route.
won, when the Rams won, I don't know who was the Super Bowl MVP. It wasn't Aaron Donald. I don't think. I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I'm gonna
sorry.
take the safe route. I'm gonna go with Sam Darnold as well. And before we move on to the Giants, I would want to say we have two Giants playing in this game. I think only two. I could be wrong, but the ones that I point out to me is Julian Love and Leo the Lion, Leonard Williams. So I'm gonna be excited, rooting for the Seahawks, watching the ex-Giants play and do their thing. That being said, guys,
when you leave the Giants, you go win Super Bowls. That's the mantra. Huh? Barkley and now Leonard Williams and Julian
Darius Tony.
How crazy would that be?
Darius Tony. Darius Tony won. I mean, what are we doing here? The Joe Shane era has not been good. You get rid of them, and it's like good luck for other teams. My goodness.
All right, guys, let's move on to the New
Oh
York
yeah,
football.
Tommy DeVito too. Tommy Cutlass could get a fucking ring if the Patriots win.
That's
Andrew
right.
Luck. Andrew Luck.
Can't forget about DeVito. Thank you, no Mets. Thank you.
Drew Luck.
All right, guys, that was fun.
Oh, Drew Lock's on the Seahawks. That's right. I forgot he was on the Seahawks. Drew Lock was. Yeah, back
one
then.
of our backup quarterbacks is going to
Drew
win
Lock?
the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Exactly. Shout out to Love and Leo. Absolutely. All right, guys. We're gonna talk about the New York Giants for a good 20 minutes, and then these boys are gonna end the show with a good Hall of Fame talk. Because the Hall of Fame is around the corner, and a few things got leaked. That being said, guys, New York Giants, I just want to open it up with my takes on Harbaugh. I'm just going to say I think that was a fantastic hire. I think he's going to demand the room. He's going to control the room. I didn't really need to go in too much detail, but because it's been out for a while, but I'm just going to say amazing hire. And I think we're going to take the Giants where we need to be, back competing in the playoffs year in and year out. Ravens, Steelers. I get not really Steelers. Well, yeah, Steelers fans because there's Channing Fire Tomlin, even though he stepped down. Steelers fans, Baltimore fans, uh, you know, Bills fans getting uncontent because they was making the playoffs and they didn't win. Come on, but we haven't even touched the playoffs, close to it in the last 10 years outside of 2016. That being said, I want to be a consistent fan base. I want to be like how I am at the Heat. I don't need to watch the whole season. I know I can watch the Heat. They're going to be there in the playoffs and I can enjoy that. With the Giants, I just want to be a competitive team, and I think John Harbaugh will definitely bring that into this building. He's already making some great hires in his staff. Bringing in that lady from the NFL and all the changes he's making. I'm not going to get too far into it. The hire of defense coordinator, I was kind of didn't understand it at first because I judged the team, I judged the logo before I got to really dig deep on this guy. While I was digging deep on him, I realized that, oh my God, this guy can actually utilize his players and put his players in the best positions. He's probably going to be playing a lot of press, something that our ex defensive coordinator before surely didn't do, and I think Wilson is gonna make the game easier for our best player on defense, that is Dexter Lawrence, that did come off of a bad year. I think it's going to be focusing on him more and then surrounding everybody in the secondary, and he's known to develop secondaries. So that's what I really did like about him. With our special teams coordinator, what I know is he's an elite special teams coordinator coming over from Baltimore. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think he's just gonna be great. He's obviously our assistant head coach as well under John. So I honestly think that's a good hire. Special teams has been lacking. Hopefully we can get that built up, and I honestly think we will get that built up. As far as the offense coordinator, that's the one I was most shocked about. That's the one where I reacted the most about when that first got hired. He wasn't on my list, especially when we have people like Cliff out there, where we have people like Brian out there. I just didn't understand why we bring in a guy like Matt Nagy, but I did first off, I did judge him. I judged him at first. Just utilizing what I've seen in the Bears, with the Bears history and the QBR of the quarterbacks that he coached. The no QBR quarterback. It was like he broke the quarterbacks. But when I really got deep dive in here, I think people do need a second chance. And when you do, or under Andy Reid, and for all the years he was before he went to the Bears and after he went to the Bears, I think he is well respected around the NFL, and that's what we need. Like John Harbaugh said, we're gonna need teachers first, and whether I exaggerate about the pick and I'm like horrible pick, stupid pick, I'm gonna trust the process because Matt Nagy is a teacher. He's well respected around the NFL. I know the Titans was looking to hire him as their head coach. And he's been around the game for a long time. I just what my concerns is his quarterbacks he coached when he was at the Bears, just the QBRs and things just didn't look right, and he didn't call plays in Kansas City, so it's hard for me to really grasp what he's going to do for the Giants. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to hope that Nagy took that 3 years under Andy Reid, and he did help Andy Reid scheme up, and he does have a good relationship with Patrick Mahomes. But I hope that when he comes back to call plays, before, like, you respect him as a coach around the league, but nobody was scared to play. It's not like people stay up all night to play your Sean McVays, to play your Kyle Shanahan's. Nobody stays up all night to play Matt Nagy, and that was my first take on it, right? But hopefully, the last 3 years, learning under Andy Reid, he changed a few things in his offense, and hopefully, he can come out and make these defenses guessing rather than know what he's about to call. So I'm gonna trust the process because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. Did I like the hire? Absolutely not. Am I going to trust the process? Absolutely, I'm going to trust the process. That being said, let's go over to Mac. Mac, what do you have to say about the coaches, the hires, and then you can cover everything like I did.
I mean, obviously, look, the head coach clearly that's the move of the offseason as far as I'm concerned. Big time move getting a guy like John Harbaugh in here, man, to really solidify what we got going on here in New York, get this thing back going the right direction, which he's already, you know what I mean, turning the page, man. He's already laying down a new foundation. Um, and I've talked so much about John Harbaugh the last couple of weeks. I don't know how much more I can really honestly say. I mean, but let's talk about Matt Nagy a bit. Not a big fan of his. I'm honestly not, and it be this, but I trust in the process of John Harbaugh, man. I trust in what he knows, his knowledge, his ability to put together a staff. And I'm right now. That's all I can do. I'm not necessarily a big fan of this move here with Matt Nagy. He wasn't even really on the radar, so he kind of just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. I mean, Davis Webb got scooped, got retained by the Broncos, and all of a sudden it was just like Matt Nagy. Like I don't even know where that came from. Didn't even know he was even like a person of interest. But I trust the process with Matt Nagy. I'm not going to hold too much against him when it comes to Justin Fields, because Justin Fields fucking sucks. Let's face it. He wasn't good for Mike Tomlin either. He wasn't good for Aaron Glenn last year. I can't. I'm not going to completely, dismiss Nagy because of Justin Fields' shortcomings and Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, I just don't know, man. So I can't. It's hard. It's hard for me to do that, man. With a guy, and all I can do is trust the process here with John Harbaugh. Like I said, I believe John Harbaugh was the right guy for the New York Giant job. He picked Matt Nagy to be his OC. Right now, I'm gonna just roll with it and see what happens, man. As far as Denard Wilson goes, man, I think this could be a good move, man. Defensive coordinator. I think he could. I think he's a little better than people give him credit for. I think he can maybe potentially really upgrade this secondary. Maybe even, do I dare say maybe revitalize the career of a one Deontay Banks? Maybe. Because he's going to come in and bring in a scheme that's going to be a little better for Deontay Banks. A little more what he showed to be a lot better at in his rookie season. A little bit more aggressive, a little more, what you call at the line, give him, a little bit more
press,
hand checking at the line.
Yeah.
A little bit more effort, a little bit more not showing up. I mean,
put hands on the receiver.
I mean, but I'm just saying maybe because I feel like with the under Shane Bowen, I don't want to put it all on Bowen because Deontay Banks, you're a professional in the NFL, but I feel like he did just kind of check out.
Not to cut you off, but put it on Bowen. Our cornerbacks were 7 to 10 yards off the line. Like,
but at the end of the day, this is the NFL. This is the NFL. You're a professional. You gotta have the ability to adjust. Everything's not going to be just rolled out for you, man. All nice and cute and perfect. It's not. You got to be able to adjust to in this league, and that's part of what being a professional is all about. So I'm interested to see if he can maybe bring some life back into Tay Banks. If he can maybe fucking pull the fucking foot out of Tyler Nubin's ass, because I think Nubin is more like than just being flat out a bum. I think he just has poor technique in every aspect of what he does. So maybe he can, revitalize these guys a little bit, wake these guys up, get that secondary looking like a professional secondary, and give us some resistance on the back end, because we definitely got some dogs up front, man. Obviously, we have some dogs up front. So I'm kind of excited from that aspect to bring that aggressive play calling back to New York. And he doesn't do it. He does it with not as much blitzing. He's not a big heavy blitzer guy. He's just really aggressive. He likes he disguises the blitz a lot. You know what I mean? He has a lot of I think it's going to be interesting. I think we got some really good pieces. We add some more, obviously, this offseason through the draft and free agency. And I like the hire of Denard Wilson. I really think this is going to work out, and this could be the answer for this defense right here, man. Knock on wood.
Well said. Adam, what's your takes about the coaching hires?
Well, I'll start with Denard Wilson. I'm intrigued by him as a young up-and-coming D coordinator. He did have a malign season in Tennessee. So I do think people are having PTSD from another Tennessee defensive coordinator. Let's see how it plays out. I don't believe Deontay Banks should see the field. The lack of effort is what we're forgetting about. I don't care that he, new coaching staff, your first round pick I expected that guy to at least be somewhat decent, and he never got his head out of his ass. So Denard Wilson hopefully will put in people there that actually want to fucking play, and he'll have to earn his spot. I don't think anybody's spot in the back is safe with this new coaching staff. But I don't have much of a problem with Denard Wilson in overall scheme. I think I would have liked him with a lot of different hires. My question with Nagy is, and I'm not going to go down the line of trust the process, right? Because that's a cliched line in my eyes. And the reason why I say that is, if this was Kevin Stefanski hiring Jim Nagy or one of these other coaches that were young and not named John Harbaugh, we would be scratching our friggin' heads right now, like, what the hell is going on? But
we would be, but you just said it. They don't have the resume of John Harbaugh, so that's why I tend to trust the Harbaugh process more than I would just trust the Stefanski process. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm keeping the same energy. Whereas it was a questionable hire for me, and I understand why he probably did it. But if I'm going to look at it and say this guy wasn't on my radar, he wasn't. And if I'm going to sit there and tell you like, oh well, I'm happy because it's John Harbaugh making the hire, okay, but I'm not just going to just say John Harbaugh's God and he's everything that he touches is gold. I'm not going to do that as a Giant fan. I respect what he's done. I respect what he's done to the Baltimore program and how it comes here, but he didn't get his defensive coordinator, number one. He didn't get his offensive coordinator. And I feel like he scrambled a bit with the lack of planning with Todd Monken because, like everybody on earth, he didn't think Todd Monken was getting a job. And then when Todd Monken took a job, I feel like he scrambled on to the next thing and wasn't prepared, and all of a sudden he ended up with Nagy. And at one point, it was going to be Cliff Kingsbury in the building, right? And that looked like that was going to happen. And maybe I'm a little bitter because of the Kingsbury thing, but then you get a guy in Jim Nagy who, while I like that he has similarities to what Kafka ran and things like that for Dart and playing with Mahomes, and he's gotten some good press around the league. There's a reason why he wasn't calling plays. There's a reason why Kansas City went with Eric Bieniemy, who hadn't played for a year, and they're bringing back Matt Nagy. You don't just let people go to let them go. Look at what Brian Flores did. He went back to Minnesota. They didn't just say they let him explore his options when he knew he couldn't get a head coaching gig. They brought him back. They didn't say, oh, we're bringing in somebody else to replace your job. Go find your job. They did that with Jim Nagy, and that's my only concern. Now, you guys can trust Harbaugh and everything that he touches. I trust that he can coach a football team. I don't know if what he can do on offense. I don't know how it's going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be good. But when the reason why I think I'm also bringing this smoke is because a lot of people in Giant Land clown on Nagy all season long. Right? They clowned on him. They say he's this. They say he's that. As soon as he walks in the building with Jim Harbaugh, all of a sudden Matt Nagy is oh well, I didn't know about. I think I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to do that. The energy changes like that. I'm not going to be that guy that's just going to flip a script because all of a sudden it's honeymoon. I'm going to give it. Do I like it? I'm not a fan of it. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to hope it works, but I'm not just saying, oh, I trust.
But you kind of add to that real fast.
At the end of the day, I would have trusted Kevin Stefanski in a hire. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the head coach, and he's going through the process of interviewing. So if Stefanski landed on Jim Nagy, I could say the same thing about that. Like, oh, you know what? I kind of get it. But if I didn't like it with Nagy, I didn't like it with Raheem Morris or any of these other guys, I'm not just gonna say, well, I love it because John Harbaugh is doing it. That's not what I'm doing. I hope that Jim Nagy can come through. I like what he's done. He is a little younger. This is a chance for him to revitalize his career. If he can do it here in New York, he'll definitely land more head coaching jobs. So it's one of those people that I'm kind of, I would have liked to have seen Kingsbury here to see if he changed, but a guy that I know called plays, as opposed to a guy that's riding Andy's coattails and wasn't brought back in Kansas City. It's not like they had to request a permission to talk to Jim Nagy. They're just like, oh, you're still here, boom. And I feel a little bit it was a desperation hire, but if it was left down to Kingsbury and Nagy, he took the easier choice and the safer choice as opposed to Cliff Kingsbury, who he doesn't have the familiarity with. He doesn't know, and if it goes haywire, he doesn't have the Andy Roots links that he has with Jim Nagy there. And that's why I do believe Nagy was hired over Kingsbury, is because of familiarity with what he could do with the quarterback, but also familiarity with him back in the day. And I think John Harbaugh, not being in this process, didn't want to waste any more time than he's already had. And he took somebody who's more as a safer pick. And
you're 100% right, and both me and Mac feel that 100%. The way I look at it is the way you just said it. Andy Reid just had to have a press conference to promote Matt Nagy. Why is anybody not giving him a chance? And then you obviously know that Andy Reid and John Harbaugh is good friends. They probably had a private conversation. I know Matt Nagy was one of those guys that it wasn't really broadcasted in the media, but he did do a private interview, and John really did like him. I was absolutely hurt by it because I wanted Cliff, and if he didn't get Cliff, I wanted Jackson's coach from Ole Miss. And if you didn't get him, I wanted Brian Callahan. But that being said, I totally understand what you're saying, because I was just on a Chat Sports live stream talking to Marshall, sending him a super chat saying this is a horrible hire. What the F is this? Giants fans are Simpson, yes, man, just gonna like anybody we bring in. And I am confused about this hire. I'm absolutely, and I wouldn't say devastated. I was pretty lit. I was super mad about this hire. But me saying trust the process is me exactly saying what you're saying. I'm just gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna trust the process because it's not a no name that brought him in. It's John. So I'm so happy about John that it's almost as if like, you know what, John, I'm gonna see how this plays out, and that's what me saying trust the process is. I'm gonna see.
But here's my thing. Like,
that's where I'm at with it too, though. But I'm with that the same thing with Zion just said, because like. It caught me way off guard when I seen the thing like Matt Nagy. I'm like, where the fuck did he even come from? You know what I mean? He wasn't like it just came out. It just because it came out of nowhere. But at the end of the day, it's the only move that I've slightly scratched my head at John Harbaugh's made so far. And I'm not going to go over the top because I still feel like he's breathing new life into this franchise. And I'm going to right now have faith in what he's doing. I'm going to have faith in his vision. Is what I'm basically. That's what I'm basically saying. I have faith in his vision.
Is you like Harbaugh enough where the head scratching is okay with you because of John? It's John Harbaugh, and I'm saying I'm not looking at it like, oh, John Harbaugh's here, I'm trusting him, because I like what the Ravens staff did. They put a great staff together, but like does that mean I don't trust Minter? No, I mean. If I'm a Raven fan, I would have to trust Minder and what he's doing. I mean, and what he's doing out there, right? My point is, if Stefanski came in and wanted Nagy or Saleh, whoever the coach was, I would still have the same. Oh, I'm going to trust him because that's the guy you brought in. That's the guy you did all these interviews with, right? Essentially, that's the guy you thought was the best. Now, for me, again, there's a lot of great candidates out there, and none of them that we felt was Jim Nagy. And the only reason I feel a lot of people are only okay with it is because it's John Harbaugh. If we had another coach in here, we would be like, what are you doing? How'd you do this? Da, da, da. We'd have more.
We would.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
And so for me, I'm looking at it like if Kevin Stefanski were here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to trust it because you know the guy you're looking for. I've got to trust the head coach, right? Just like Brian Flores trusting Kafka. Do I like Kafka? No. Do I think he was going to be good? Absolutely not. But hey, Brian's going to hire him. That's the guy he believes in. All right, I'll give him a chance. That's how I'm doing it. John believes in him. I'm not doing it because John Harbaugh is 18 years in the process. I mean, he's the one guy he wanted, he failed to get, and now he's here with Jim Nagy. And I'm just trying to make sure that of all the candidates, there's some up-and-coming guys here that, we all talked about that could have probably been just as good, if not better. And I would have still said that. If he hired Davis Webb, I would have said, oh, wow, I'll give Davis Webb a shot. He's young, I guess. John Harbaugh and everything. Even if it was Stefanski.
I would have been perfectly fine with that.
That's what I would have loved Davis Webb, honestly. I would have loved
Davis Webb.
For me, I'm not just going to say I love the Jim Nagy thing because of John Harbaugh. I'm going to be like, right, well, that's who Harbaugh wants. That's who Harbaugh wants, right? I'm not going to be like, well, John Harbaugh, trust the That's not me. I'm not going to go blind and say I don't really trust it right now. We'll see if it works out. Just like it would be if Kevin Stefanski were here, I'd do the same thing. I don't really like it, but Stefanski chose the guy. Let's see what happens, right? I'm not just basing this off of John Harbaugh's here. He's the savior. he poops gold. I'm not, his offensive coordinator is going to be great just because it's John Harbaugh. I'm giving him the same treatment I would give if Kevin Stefanski were the coach, anybody else was the coach, right? The hire wasn't great for me. I understand that he's John Harbaugh. I get that he tried it out. We'll see if it works out, but I'm not just going to blindly do it. John Harbaugh has earned one thing from me, and that fact is he's a Giants head coach, and I believe that he can coach a football team. He does. His offenses, he's chosen Greg Roman and Todd Monken. Right? Greg Roman wasn't great. Todd Monken was actually good for Lamar Jackson. I understand the familiarities with Jim Nagy and why he would pick them. If I was in his position, I'd probably be a little nervous too. Shit, I can't pick Davis Webb. I can't take, Charlie Weiss. Todd Monken's gone. Kingsbury or Nagy. Well, I'll go with a guy I know who's played with Patrick Mahomes and a guy that I'm familiar with in Andy Reid who might have some concepts I want to run here, as well as a Kingsbury who might not mesh well with me and might be a little bit more of a headache, so I'll take the safe pick. So for me, I'm not looking at like John Harbaugh. I trust the process. I look at he had the honey badger. I thought we were going to get Leonard, Jim Leonard, and I do believe, I know I'm rambling here, what I believed a lot of people believed is John Harbaugh was the guy, and a lot of people were going to come here and just drop everything and just sign with John Harbaugh, and it turned out that is not the case. So for me, I'm looking at it like, John, you have a lot of expectations on here. I trust who you are and what you've done, but I have to give that same benefit of the doubt to every coach that would have been here as a Giant fan for me. So I'm not just going to say, well, I'm trusting him because it's John Harbaugh. I would have to trust it if it's Kevin Stefanski if he brought him in. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to disprove what you guys are taking, what you guys say. I'm saying that's
no. I would have trusted it also, Adam. No matter what, I would have trusted it because, like you said, you had no other choice. You don't have any other choice anyway. But
right.
I would have had less faith in it. As little faith as I have in it right now, it would have been even less. I just feel more confident with a guy like Harbaugh making that decision because his vision to me is something that I respect more than these other guys, like the Stefanskis and these other guys. I mean, I just respect what John Harbaugh is. Let me address No Mets real quick in the chat. Hit him in the chat. The wide web because he's unknown. Look, everybody's got to get their first shot sometime. Everybody's got to. Webb right now is a hot shot. He's like one of those hot shot names, man. Quarterback. He was a quarterback coach, obviously, out there in Denver. And it's a reason. There's an absolute reason Denver didn't let him get out the building. You got to think about it like that. They knew that he was getting ready to get plucked. And they say, no, we got to hold on to this guy. It's a reason for that, man. He's possibly a succession plan down the line, whatever it may be. But there's a reason they didn't let him get out the building. You got to think about it from that perspective. Just hearing nothing but great things about what Davis Webb and his ability to work with quarterbacks and what he's been doing on the coaching scene. Everybody's got to get their first shot somewhere and sometime, man. And I've heard nothing but positive and great things about Davis Webb. So that's why I was so intrigued and so interested. And you see, like I said, Denver Broncos did not let him get out the building. They promoted him, as a matter of fact, to make sure that he's still stuck around.
To add on that, No Mets, even when he was at Texas Tech, he already knew that he wanted to be a coach in the NFL. He already knew realistically that he wasn't going to be a top pick in the draft. So he already had his mindsets on coaching at Texas Tech. And when he even was here at the Giants, I hate saying this, but he did help develop Daniel Jones as well. Every sideline that he'd been on as a player, he was a player's coach. And like Mac said, his development over the last 6 years in the NFL of him coaching up these young quarterbacks, his resume, when you really take the time to really look at it and dig in on it, it really speaks Sanders. And every organization has a person that talks highly. I want to say every organization, but he's talked highly of around the league. And for Sean Payton to fire his offensive coordinator and promote Webb, that tells you something right there. I think Webb is probably going to be in the head coaching search again in next year's cycle, and I think he'll probably be a head coach here in the next couple of years. When you look at it, we just got done talking about it too. Head coachings are getting younger and younger and younger, and he's just one of these offensive minds, kind of what people had when Matt LaFleur, with Kyle Shanahan. With Matt LaFleur, with Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and Mike McDaniels. They was all under Mike Shanahan's tree, and they all came from that system. And look at them all now. I think Grab. I know there's big names, but when they was all in the same room, just working for Mike, it wasn't really known, but as you can see, as the names get talked about now, look at all of them, and I think Reb is the next young buck. I think he's the next. I know he has a lot to prove still, and I understand him taking the offensive job, but let's just time will tell. But he's well respected about the NFL. I don't want to drag that on. That being said, Hall of Fame time, guys. I know you guys wanted to talk about the Hall of Fame. We covered the Giants. We covered the Super Bowl. We covered the coaching hires. I'm sorry, I was trying to rush my DraftKings lineup for my NBA picks. That's why I was kind of distracted for a second. Got that in. That locks at 4 o'clock. That being said, let's open up the Hall of Fame. And yes, guys, Adam, I did take a Cooper Flag in my lineup today, so hopefully he does good. That being said, let's open up the Hall of Fame. I'm going to give the mic over to these guys. They had a conversation that they wanted to get into, and let's get it.
So I just wanted to preface this conversation. So I was browsing the internet, doing my thing at work, and I found out that Roger Craig, spoiler, is possibly going into the Hall of Fame, most likely going into the Hall of Fame, right? One of the inductees. And so I was kind of shocked. While I like Roger Craig and admire his career as a historian of the game, I did not get to watch him play, but if you know the Giants and the history in the NFL and you do what I do and you dive into those Montana documentaries and Bill Walsh and all those things, of guys and players, and they stick around, right? So Roger Craig got to the Hall of Fame, and I told Mac, and Mac's like, oh, man, yeah, that's pretty good. He should get into the Hall of Fame. I'll let Mac say his piece. But it struck me. So when Mac, kind of defended Roger Craig, it opened my eyes. So Mac, please let them know how you felt about Roger Craig, and we can get into a little bit deeper dive in this Hall of Fame talk.
Well, I just said it because Roger Craig, he wasn't, I wouldn't necessarily call him, it is hard because you're talking about the Hall of Fame here. And would I necessarily consider Roger Craig like this all-world, all-time running back? Not necessarily. But he's been a part of some really special stuff when it comes to with his accomplishments in the league. He's been a part of, I believe, three world titles for the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. I think he won at least 3 of those with the 49ers in the 80s. The 3 and he did something that, and I do stand corrected, Adam. You were right earlier. Christian McCaffrey did also do it. The 1,000 thing. I forgot in 2019, McCaffrey also did accomplish the same feat in 2019. But even with that being said, Roger Craig did that in 1985. It took 36 years for another running back to have that same accomplishment. 36 years, and the 36 years in between when Roger Craig and McCaffrey did it. Do you know how many absolutely lights out, amazing running backs played football in the NFL, and it took that long for something like that? And when I'm saying all this to say is, not only was Roger Craig a champion in this league, he also had an accomplishment like that just stands out in anybody in their career. He wasn't like all world. Like I said, he only had a few 1,000-yard seasons in his career. He didn't necessarily look anything, but he's part of a great, phenomenal football team as well. Joe Montana at quarterback, Jerry Rice, the wide receiver. I can't remember who they had at tight end. I can't remember it, but at the same time, he was not the focal point of that 49er offense by no means, and he was still pretty damn efficient. He still really accomplished some big time things, and obviously. Look how long it's taken. For Roger Craig has been retired from the NFL since about 91 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 92, not like 93, I think it was, something like that. And so it took this long for the man to get into the Hall of Fame anyway, after all of these years of being on the ballot or whatever. I just got to go with the fact that I'm not hating on the decision for Roger Craig to get in, and I understand where Adam he's going to get into in a few moments, and I understand where he's coming from, but I think there's just certain standards that measure a Hall of Famer. because everybody's not going to be necessarily that all-time great in the regular seasons and whatnot like that. But it depends how you look at it. You got to look at it from the aspect of when you bring up Roger Craig's name, there's a landmark thing on his resume that people back, especially from that era, are going to remember something that about like it just stands out to a point that it can't be ignored. And it was obviously a phenomenal feat. As I said, it took 36 years for anyone else to do it, and it hasn't been done again since that time. So it to me, I'm okay with Roger Craig getting in the Hall of Fame, even though when you look at his career numbers, they look slightly anemic compared to what most other Hall of Famers have. But I mean, I think, like I said, I think he was a good player. I think he just kind of had to be around to see it, man. I think he just played on a very talented football team where he just wasn't the focal point, where he was just never the focal point. So, I mean, he played his whole entire career with Jerry Rice. So it's like he just, the fact that he did some of the things that he did to me is what makes was why I think I'm okay with him being in the Hall.
Well, this is a bigger discussion than just what I'm about to bring up. The bigger discussion
I will fast Adam, not to take away anything from this conversation, but I just want to say thank you, Bruce, for being here, man. We really appreciate it. And Eli is going to get into the Hall of Fame eventually. We'll cover that a little bit later, but I was kind of pissed off about that. But don't want to take away from the boys' conversation. Continue, Adam. I'm sorry about that.
So the point is, the Hall of Fame needs to figure out how they're going to induct people. Because while I hear what you're saying, Roger Craig was a good player. And stats are a reflection of who you are, right? You could say, well, he played with this guy, that guy. I can name 10 backs better than him that probably should get to the Hall, but won't because of the teams they played on. I have there's two giant backs I believe. One is Henderson, who obviously played with the St. Louis Cardinals back in the day, and he did things on a Cardinals team. He was the only player on that team doing things. So you want to talk about a Hall of Fame player to do what he did on a bad team and then get the icing on top, I think he should be there, right? If you're going to put in a guy like Roger Craig. The other guy is Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber has almost 17,000 all-purpose yards between return yards, receiving yards, and rushing yards combined. And he had 6 of the last 7 seasons. He had 800 yards. The 2 last seasons, he had 1,800 yards apiece. And so we then go, well, he doesn't have a championship or he doesn't get more. We always do that to
I'd echo on your behalf, Matt. There you go. All right, continue, Adam.
We always do that on goalposting. We move the goalpost for people, and to me, the Hall of Fame, like in baseball, when you win baseball, if your career lasts, 15 years, you hit about 300 home runs, and you average about 300, you're going to the Hall of Fame, right? You get like close to 300 RBIs, you're going to the Hall of Fame. They just have this number where, we're going to put you in, and you're going to be up for discussion. Whereas the NFL Hall of Fame is a lot of pencil neck media people who are biased and have views like maybe what Mac is saying, like he may not have been good, but I liked him and he was nice to me and I liked what he did on the 49er team. I'm going to vote him in, as opposed to a guy like Tiki Barber who isn't squeaky clean off the field, had his fumbling issues, but still ended up being one of the best backs of his generation for that 5-year span. I mean, Tiki Barber just got better and better and better and better his last couple of years, whereas Roger Craig, when he hit that, did not get better and better and better and better. He had that plateau. They won in 85, and he just was an average back after that rode the coattails of a great team. So if you're going to put in a guy like a Roger Craig, and the only demarcation he has more than, let's say, Tiki Barber is his 3 rings, then I have to look at circumstance. Well, what did Craig have? Well, he had Joe Montana in those teams. Tiki Barber had Kerry Collins, Dave Brown, and then on the early Eli Manning to his career, and then they didn't have great receivers and things like that. There weren't Hall of Famers across the board. It's the same thing with Monty Toomer. right? You look at Amani Toomer, you could argue that Amani Toomer is a Hall of Famer. You could argue that. I'm not putting him in, but there are guys like that who are cuffs players who are good that just to me are like, if they had a little bit more yardage or they did this, they might be in there. Tiki Barber was that guy. And I think if Tiki Barber wins the Super Bowl, we're not even having questioning this right now. It's the same thing with Phillip Rivers. If he won a Super Bowl, we're not even questioning whether that or not that the guy's a Hall of Famer. We just know that he is. And so my argument is more about the Hall of Fame in general and less about Roger Craig. I do believe there needs to be some type of like demarcation. We're not in the 70s anymore. We're not, Lynn Swans and those guys. Yeah, their lineage is great. If you wanted to induct the whole team, then induct the 72 Steelers and just put their name in the Hall of Fame. That way the 72 Steelers, all of them get in the Hall of Fame, but you don't have to have an individual accolade. He's going in as a running back. He's not going in as the 49er team, right? He's going in as Roger Craig, the running back. So to me, if you're going to individualize the award, then let them be standards. If the guy meets the criteria, what does he do? Was he one of the top of his position? Did he check this box? Did he check that box? Bang, and put him in. Because guys like Priest Holmes should be in. It's the same argument I had with Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis was a good player. He helped John Elway win a Super Bowl. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? Not at all. Not at all. But he's in the Hall of Fame anyways because he won 2 championships and helped John Elway win those 2 championships. So to me, at what point are we going to put in the players that are actually deserving of it and not give guys a pass because they played on a team and we're going to give a guy, like Eli Manning. He won 2 Super Bowls in the most crucial time. I think his role is more pivotal than Roger Craig. But we're putting in Roger Craig after 30 years in an era of backs that have come and gone. There's been a ton of backs that have been better than him and are going to be better than him. Yet I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame one day and see Roger Craig and go, okay. I'm not going to be like, if I saw Tiki Barber's stats and I see 1,800 yards, 15,000 all-purpose yards, I'm going to go, wow, look at that guy, 15,000 all-purpose yards. Do you know that Jerry Rice has 20,000 yards receiving? So to say 15,000 all-purpose yards from your position is a big deal in the NFL when guys catch for 15,000, catch for 14,000. Hell, Emmitt Smith ran for damn near 18,000, right? So there needs to be, for me, going forward to the Hall of Fame, fuck your pietists, fuck all your personal vendettas, make a line of demarcation. This is the bare minimum we're going to let in the Hall of Fame. 10,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, and then we'll put your accolades against other players, and maybe that is what will push you over here. If a guy won a championship, maybe that'll boost you a little bit. Because if we're looking over at overall resume, I can't take the 3 Super Bowls away, but I also can't take away Tiki Barber's 15,000 all-purpose yards either, and say, well, he can't get in the Hall of Fame, right? It's like Brian Mitchell. Brian Mitchell is a 18,000 yard return man in the NFL. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Devin Hester, thank God, got there. He's in the Hall of Fame. Eric Metcalf should be in the Hall of Fame. Right? Another return man that's over there. Joshua Quibbs is a guy that should be considered if we're doing things because they've reached a certain number of yardage throughout their history where you're like, damn, that guy was great. And the Hall of Fame should mean greatness, not just a good player on a good team who had one good season and we're going to put him in because he's a good nice guy.
He had more than one good season.
Wow, Adam, you gotta knock the guy like that.
He never had 1,800 yards. I'm just saying. He never had 1,800
yards. That's respond, but my only knock on the Hall is why the fuck is Bill Belichick not a first timer? That's just my knock on that. But you want to say anything, Matt?
Yeah,
because of
I know the Tiki Barber thing. I wanted to talk about the Tiki Barber thing. I do want to talk about Tiki Barber because I like Tiki Barber. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan. Of course, I used to love Tiki Barber when he played for the New York Giants. And I think you're right, Adam. The final 5 years of his career were absolutely lights out. He was amongst the top running backs in the league in his final 5 years. I think what Tiki Barber is suffering from a little bit, though, is a little bit like kind of like what Eli, I think, is kind of dealing with. Eli Manning played in a great era of quarterbacks, and he was overshadowed a bit by some of those great quarterbacks he played amongst. But he has amazing accomplishments and absolutely belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I agree with that. Tiki Barber, I do agree. There's a strong argument to be made that he should be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm going to run down a little list I got for you. And these are guys that all played in the same time frame with Tiki Barber. Now some of them a little earlier, but they still all of these guys I'm about to name played at some point in time during the same time Tiki Barber was playing in the NFL. And I got Damian Thomason, Jerome Bettis, Marshall Faulk, Eddie George, Edgerrin James,
Hall of Famer.
Edgerrin James, Sean Alexander, Jamal Lewis, Terrell Davis, Curtis. It's not about Roger Craig. I'm talking about Tiki Barber now. Roger Craig is old. Like you said, that's a whole different thing.
But I'm just saying. I understand what you're saying about the era of guys. That's not my issue. I can't just say, well, the era of guys, because I know that Damian Thompson did that.
No, let me land this plane. Let me land this plane real quick. But my thing is, what I'm saying is, out of those guys that I like just named, Emmitt Smith is also another one that played during the same time. I mean, he was at the end of his career, obviously, but still. My point is, which one of those guys that I just named that the average, maybe just even kind of just football fan would say Tiki Barber was better than that guy? Well, I mean, and it's tough. I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm not saying that he was great, that he wasn't great. I'm just saying those are the kind of guys he was being measured against.
Listen,
and I don't know what the Hall of Fame committee looks at. You said what?
But I think you're missing. I think Eddie George should be in the Hall of Fame, but I think you're missing my overall point here, and that's not about. It's not about the class that you're in. I can't be mad that you're in a great group of class, because all those guys you named should be in the Hall of Fame. Eddie George should be in the Hall of Fame because all those guys you mentioned have 10,000 plus yards or more. They've done enough in the NFL to get there and warrant to get in there, right? As an individual award, that's what the Hall of Fame is. I can only base it on what I see at the end result. I can't give it to every good player that's been on a great championship team. I can't just put them in the Hall. I can't just put Justin Tuck in the Hall of Fame, even though I do believe he's a borderline Hall of Famer. I hope you and you're a borderline, but I don't think they're going to get there because their numbers are not going to add up to guys that are going to come out behind them, like a Myles Garrett or Max Crosby, or guys that might finish, or TJ Watt, guys that might finish with more numbers, but less maybe championships or accolades. I'm not going to say, well, I'm going to put in, OCU Manura because it's been 30 years and we need this honorary guy. Like I'm going to put in Roger Craig. Unfortunately, has to go up against Tiki Barber because they're retired right now. And if you're telling me that Roger Craig is eligible overall to go to the Hall of Fame, then I have to agree that Tiki Barber is. I also agree that Eddie George should be in the Hall of Fame. I have the standing where if you've rushed for 10,000 yards in a career, you should get on the ballot just for that alone. Now, whether or not you make it can be subjected to change, I guess. But guys that don't, like Roger Craig, is only on the ballot because he won 3 Super Bowls with the 49ers. Does that mean I'm going to put him in? Ricky Waters has better overall career numbers, and he's yet not in the Hall of Fame, right? Frank Gore is another back that should be in the Hall of Fame that has better numbers than Roger Craig, and probably will be. And my point is that they just want to put everybody. If you want to really compare a guy with a similar stats who should be in the Hall of Fame, Priest Holmes is another guy that I think you could put in and say had a legitimate case to be in the Hall of Fame at the running back position. If you're going to put in Roger Craig, and I'm just saying, to me,
like my thing with Tiki though, because like I said, I hear you, Roger Craig. I get it. But it's not like he got in on his first, second, third, fourth. You're talking about a guy that's been retired since like 1992. That's just getting in the Hall of Fame. Here's 2020.
Yeah, but he's not.
I mean, 1992.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, Adam, let's talk about Tiki a little bit, because I keep saying, like I said, I think you might think that I'm really just I'm not being adamant about him not being a Hall of Famer. I feel like he does have a Hall of Fame resume. What I'm saying is he's been he played in an era in which he was overshadowed by a lot of other great backs. He also, like I said, take his best career year. 2005 was Tiki Barber's best career season as far as running the football. As far as running the football, no, 2005 was 1,860 was 2005 season.
2006 was 1,862. I have the numbers up in front of me.
No, that's 1,662. That's 1662 in 2006.
My eyes are going bad.
1860
Oh,
in
you're right.
2005.
I read it wrong.
And 2005 was his best season running the football. Great year. I remember that Raiders game. I'll never forget it. That shit was awesome. That shit was dope. But he had 9 touchdowns on the ground that season. But yet, you would think with a stat line like that, Tiki Barber must have won the rushing title. Unfortunately, he came up a little bit short of that because Sean Alexander for the Seattle Seahawks that season had 1,880 yards rushing.
Super Bowl.
Went to the Super Bowl. They lost, but he went. And he also scored 27 touchdowns.
I don't think Alexander was a better player.
He scored 27 touchdowns that season on the ground and was the league MVP. So that's what I mean about being overshadowed. And even in his best statistical season, he was overshadowed by a guy. And I don't know what the Hall of Fame committee exactly looks at and how they look at things, but these are just some of the reasons why I'm thinking he's being overlooked for the Hall of Fame, because when people look at his era or when he played, I think there's a bunch of other running backs that people will agree would say were better than him overall during that time period, as well as, like I said, you take even his best season he had, which was a phenomenal year, the fact that even that got overshadowed because Sean Alexander has some ridiculously freakish season that year. Like it's unfortunate. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying it's unfortunate.
Yes,
for guys like that.
Okay, so I will say this, right? Is Sean Alexander a Hall of Famer? Because right now, I'm looking at, you could say overshadowed. I'm looking at a career and where the numbers have landed you in the career. And right now, you can tell me that he had a better season. Tiki Barber has better rushing numbers than him. Okay, Tiki Barber has overall better receiving yards than him. His average is better. And that Seahawk team was not built like the Giants, who in 05 just got Plaxico Burress and was throwing the ball all over the yard. Tiki Barber also had Ron Dane on the team that he had to share carries with. And he had to also have the ball distributed all over the place because Eli Manning had to throw it, and they didn't do the same running of the football that the Mike Homer-led Seattle Seahawks did. So I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at Sean Alexander's numbers, and while he has 100 touchdowns, which is great, his average is 4.3 yards a carry, whereas Tiki Barber's average is 4.7 yards a carry. And he has, 10,000 yards and 55 touchdowns on basically the same amount of carries. And what I'm saying is that Tiki Barber wasn't a touchdown machine. They didn't give him the ball the same way that they gave Alexander the ball, and half of his touchdowns came in one season, whereas Tiki Barber had to grow gradually into a third down back, and he was a third down back. You got to take that into consideration.
Actually, no. Hold on. Let me slow you down for a second, because I'm looking at Sean Alexander's career stats right now. 2001, 14 touchdowns. 2002, 16 touchdowns. 2003, 14 touchdowns. 2004, 16 touchdowns again. 2005 to 27 touchdowns. Like I'm sorry, that's a lot of touchdowns scoring. That's a lot of touchdowns scoring.
Tiki Barber. Okay, but let's look at Tiki Barber. Right, here's his stats. All right, he had 500 yards his first year. 166 yards. Then he had 258 yards, right? And he was averaging 3.2, 3.2, 4.2, 4.2. First starting year, 4.7. Ever since 2000, he's averaged 4.7 or better as a per carry average, right? His average carries per year, he had 213, 166, 304. Let's see. This guy doesn't have the same volume and is not in the same offense that Sean Taylor did. Sean Taylor is getting the ball a lot more with a lot more heat because they're not running the same offense. And he fell off in those last couple of years dramatically, whereas Tiki Barber got better. And if you look at his receiving
injuries took the best on the end of his career, though. I'm not going, like you said, injuries got him.
Tiki Barber. Okay, so overall in yardage, this guy has over, let's just say, 13, almost about 12,000 yards total in both receiving. Tiki Barber all-purpose yards has over 15,000 between rushing, receiving, and returning. Okay, so I'm not just going to sit here and say, well, John Alexander, his peers. Okay, well, I'm looking at the stats of what they've all done. And Tiki Barber's done more on the football field than Sean Taylor did, right? So some of those carries and other rushes that you're saying is in the last half of that last 7 years, okay? He had, in 2000, he had 700 yards receiving, 500 yards receiving, 597 yards receiving, 461, 578, 530, 465. What did fucking Sean Alexander, his peer, do in the receiving department? Oh, let's see. 41 yards, 343 yards, 460, 295, 170. He doesn't even hold a candle to fucking Tiki Barber on receiving alone. So if you want to talk about overall back, the overall back that I would take over him is Tiki Barber. If I'm looking at what he's done for his team, Tiki Barber was far better than what Sean Alexander did. And
is he though?
You
Sean Alexander scored 112 career touchdowns.
Tiki Barber has 15,000 all-purpose yards. What do you want from me?
And Tiki Barber scored 67. I mean, because you're talking about, like you said, we're bringing up stats though, Adam, and touchdowns are a stat too, right? Sean Alexander almost doubled up Tiki Barber in touchdowns. Almost doubled him up.
Exactly why. I told you exactly why. First off, Sean Alexander is a first-round pick, right? So I expect him to do well. Tiki Barber was a second-round pick and has not only had that, he had 5,000 yards. And I told you he also was a receiving game. It was a dual threat out of the backfield where Sean Alexander was not. So
I'm not arguing that he wasn't. You're right. He wasn't.
I'm just saying, but like Sean, you brought up Sean Alexander. I'm bringing up Sean Alexander. I would argue that Priest Holmes was better than Sean Alexander talent-wise too. But because of where he played in Baltimore the first 4 years, he didn't get the carries that he needed to get into the Hall of Fame, right? And if we're talking about the Hall of Fame and getting in there, Tiki Barber, when you put it on the list of things, should be up there even over a guy like Sean Alexander, who, while, yes, he led the rushing titles and everything like that, Tiki Barber, I'm not just going to take his 5,000 yards away and throw it to the wayside, or his 1,100 yards in receiving. He was very versatile in that regard. Something that
that's what you seem like you're doing with his Sean Alexander's touchdowns, though. That's what it seems like you're doing with his touchdowns.
All I said was
as if that didn't matter. Like you're almost kind of being very nonchalant about the touchdowns.
What if Tiki Barber gets in next year with Eli? Is that possible?
They won't do that.
That would be weird.
All I'm saying is he got 100-yard touchdown, right? So we're taking the touchdowns and we're going to say, well, I know a lot of guys that get a lot of touchdowns. Does that make them Hall of Famers? I'm looking at them across the board. In the stat department of rushing, Tiki Barber is better. Touchdowns, Sean Alexander wins. Receiving, Tiki Barber wins. Okay, so overall package, Roger Craig has 55 touchdowns. Tiki Barber has 56 touchdowns, 10,000 yards and 5,000 receiving. 9,000 yards for Sean Alexander, barely anything receiving and 100 touchdowns. Okay, if I put all three of them together and I'm looking at their stats and what they've done in their career, because that's what we have to look at is their career, not just, he's got this. Tiki Barber wins because of his entire career of what he did on the football field and the yardage that he amounted to, and all-purpose yards. And for me, I can't just overlook it because this guy won a rushing title and got 9,000 yards, and their offenses were totally built two different ways.
I'm not overlooking what Tiki Barber did. What I'm saying is he was overshadowed in a couple of different ways, like I explained to you. Like I said, he was overshadowed just by the running backs in general that were playing around when. Like I said, that list I gave you was 10 names I just ran off that list. Like I said, there's not one of those guys that most people are going to say is better. Tiki Barber was better than it. I mean, it's just fact. I understand how you feel. I don't necessarily agree with it either. I'm just saying
George is roughly
that's what it is. That's just what it is.
I would put Tiki Barber in the list that you listen. I put Tiki Barber in the list that you mentioned. I am not putting Sean Alexander in that list. Okay, but
how can he not? Adam, he was dominant for a stretch of his career, just like Tiki Barber was. He was dominant for a stretch of his career. Like you're talking about the last 5 years of Tiki Barber's career. Look at the year 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Sean Alexander's career.
Right.
I mean,
And I'm saying,
literally,
right.
he was
And then he fell
dominant.
off.
He was dominant.
So was Tiki. And the only guy that beat him was the guy that fell off. And now when you look at the stats and you put it down there and you're sitting there and you're looking at the resume, right? And we're sitting here, sure, he was a better runner, right? And so was Eddie George. But if you put Tiki Barber's overall yardage against a lot of those guys, he'll move up the charts overall.
Well,
but the reason he's not is because I'm just saying, you can't just look. You have to look at everything. If we're counting, I'm counting receiving yards. I'm
looking at everything.
Yards.
That's what I'm looking at. Sean Alexander was a league MVP. He was a league MVP.
Okay.
Not offensive player of the year. He was a league MVP.
All right. I think he doesn't make my cut for the Hall of Fame because
he scored the number 27 touchdowns in one season running the football. That was his run. I don't even know if he had any receiving touchdowns that year, but he had 27 touchdowns running the football that year. And no, he did not. He had one receiving touchdown that season. So he had 28 touchdowns total that season.
So he had Tiki Barber. I'm just saying, you're talking about two guys who are in different eras of football and getting the focal point of the offense. That Seattle team was built for that Sean Alexander. At the end of their career, you could tell me they dominated. I tell people all the time, Philip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. People laugh in my face when they say that. You look at the overall numbers, I don't know why. Philip Rivers, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be top 10 in passing, all this, but he didn't win the big game. He didn't do that. Like, I'm not saying that Carson Palmer should be in the Hall of Fame, right? That would be the equivalent of what we're talking about right now, is a guy that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And then we're talking about guys that are like Carson Palmer, who the only way Carson Palmer gets to the Hall of Fame, in my eyes, would be the Super Bowl. Because if you were to say, like, oh, he's a good passer, but he won that one championship, that's what he wants to put you in there, fine. The only reason Tiki Barber is not in the Hall of Fame right now is because he doesn't have a ring. If he had the ring in 2007 and won with that team and had 1,000 yards and got 1,100, it's unquestioned that he's in the Hall of Fame. But because he doesn't have any championship to show for it and that to hang his hat on, we don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I'm looking at a dual-purpose back, a guy that was in and out of the backfield that was talked about and was one of the best of his era in times. He was at least top 5 in all of it when he was in there. Even with those guys you mentioned, he was top 5. I guarantee you can put him in the league, and he was still there. Now, do I think John Alexander was good? He was good for a short span, and he never had he had his 27 touchdowns because they had nobody.
Just like you said about Tiki Barber, he was sensational for a 5-year period. About a good 5-year period, he was absolutely sensational.
Even that 5-year period, overall, he has 10,000 yards, and he should be in there. And we're talking about what the heck is going on right now? Well, that was crazy. But my point is, and my only issue.
You're muted, Mac. You're muted, Mac.
The Hall of Fame needs to have a line of demarcation. And that line of demarcation, this will probably be it for me, is 10,000 yards, we get your career. I like Sean Alexander, but if I'm putting my numbers up against his career numbers up against Tiki Barber's, I'm putting in Tiki overall because of what he did for the game. He has 100 touchdowns. I'm not taking that away from him, but running the football, you got to factor that in. Catching the ball out of the backfield, got to factor that in as well. Receiving yards as well. He impacted the game in 3 different ways. He has 3 different touchdowns and different ways of doing it. Roger Craig, not worthy of the Hall of Fame, only in because he's on the 49ers. If you put guys like him, Terrell Davison, to me, you're losing the standard of the Hall of Fame and what it really means to be a Hall of Famer in my eyes, because there should be a line of demarcation in there. And a guy like Otis Anderson's another guy that I throw in there. Eddie George, another 10,000, or even Jamal Lewis, another guy I would put in that Hall of Fame range kind of backs we're talking about, right?
I think with the real issue though is that people, and that goes for obviously the Hall of Fame voters, we all measure Hall of Famers differently. Clearly, me and you measure them a little bit differently. I'm assuming the same shit goes on in those closed door meetings when they're having their votes too. People measure Hall of Famers differently. So it's Like
They
I
had
say,
a
when I
lot of
look at
demarcation.
obviously that, but I look at a Hall of Famer as a guy that's like potentially like I said, when you say Tiki Barber's name, you know what I mean, to people like where they gonna say, well, he had a really good last 5 years of his career. But at the same, but you say Roger Craig's name, you'll be like 85, he was thousand. He won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, you say that shit about a guy like Roger Craig. And Sean Alexander, he was a league MVP. He had 27 touchdowns in the season. He had a 5-year stretch where he was just scoring touchdowns like crazy. People say that about him. What do you really say about Tiki Barber when people bring up his name? What's like the thing that just jumps off the page and you say Tiki Barber? Like, what is it? Yes, I understand what you're saying. I know Tiki was a great player. Unfortunately, it's like I said, it's just I can't. It's hard to explain what goes on through the Hall of Fame voters. But that's just kind of what it is. There's just that when you bring up Tiki's name, there's not that like highlight thing that people will be like Tiki Barber. Yeah, that's what that Tiki, that guy right there. But these other guys, you say these guys got some kind of like they have something that jumps out and stands out that just kind of that's what kind of separates them for how unfair it might be because Tiki put in the work. His stats statistically, you're right. Hall of Fame statistics, you're right, absolutely. But
point blank comparison.
There's something the Hall of Fame seems to be looking at something more.
Well said. That's a way to tie a bow on it, and I appreciate that conversation, guys, because I had time to eat, and it was an interesting conversation too. Because I was tuned in, because these guys I never really got to play, because I got to watch not much because I was young, and when I became a Giants fan, you know, Tiki Barber was already not on the Giants, and going back and looking how great he was, he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame one day. That being said, though, I just want to thank all of you guys.
I think he will be too.
Mm-hmm. And I am going to pass it back to Matt to officially close us out. But before I do, make sure you guys go leave a comment, leave a sub to all these creators on this panel. Obviously, Mac the Giants fan, Adam Costa, and myself. Links are going to be down in the description below. And don't sleep on J. Cole's final album, The Fall Off. No, we're a football show. Got to slide in my GOAT, my J. Cole in there. You know what I'm saying? Don't you sleep on his album dropping tomorrow. Back over to you, Mac. Unless Adam, you have any final thoughts, or you good? You good for the day? Let's get it.
No, that's it. Thanks for showing up, everyone, and hope you enjoyed our Super Bowl preview show. You know, I look forward to having more as they come up.
Love it. Back over to you, man.
Absolutely, man. Definitely appreciate everybody tuning in for another edition of the Premium Takes podcast. We know it's been a while. We haven't been consistent with it. We're trying to work on that. We're going to get it back going again. We promise. But hope everybody goes out there, has a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope it's a great game, man. Make sure you sub up to myself at Matt the Giants fan. Make sure you sub up to Adam at Adam Costa. Sub up to Zion and Zion Zenith. Sub up to the Hardcore Sports Network as well. We appreciate you guys tuning in, man. And it's been fun hanging out with y'all today. The debate was great, Adam. I appreciate everything you had to say, man. I respect it. Trust me. I don't want you to think I'm not. I'm with you. I feel like he belongs to be in there. I'm just saying reasons why I think he's getting overlooked for it. That's why. That's just those are the reasons that I'm kind of compounding in my head. But why he's there.
That's why we saved it for the show.
But definitely, like I said, enjoy the game, everybody, man, and we'll maybe catch y'all next week. Who knows? If not, you know where to find me, man. You'll catch me. I'll be around. I'm, like I said, pumping content out like crazy now, man. That's just what I'm doing. 2026 is a new year for Mac the Giants, man, and for all of us up here, man. We back, and me and Adam will be back soon with the Real Deal NFC's roundup as well. So stay keep it locked for that as well. Get them fours up for our guy, the legendary, the one, the only NYG Jeffy T, man. Throw them fours up for us in the chat. Always here with us. We know he's watching down. This is a big weekend for him, obviously. Super Bowl coming up, man. We'll see y'all, man. We'll see y'all soon. Pass.